Zhang Yunxi's body stiffened and immediately looked at Yi Lingchen worryingly. Lingchen, you mustn't do this. Let's get out of here. Her father was an example. It made her despise gambling, but at the same time fearful of it. That was a road without return. She was unwilling to see Yi Lingchen fall into gambling. Yi Lingchen smiled as he shook his head. I feel like gambling, but I have never gambled before. I don't know how to. How can I win if you knew? Li Si's smile turned brighter. You can learn if you don't know. Young Master Yi, please follow me. On the other side of the table was a book rack. On it were books about gambling techniques. Biography of the God of Gamblers, Teachings of the King of Gamblers, Psychology of Gambling, and others of the same genre. I have collected the majority of books on gambling techniques from all over the country. It covered almost all gambling techniques and styles. If you master them, you will surely be the next God of Gamblers. Young Master Yi can have a look at them if you're interested. After that, Li Si eagerly recommended some of the better titles to Yi Lingchen. You are well prepared, Yi Lingchen commended with a smile on his face. He then randomly grabbed a book from the shelf. Self-Studying Secrets of the Casino, Gambling Proficiency plus 1 foot. Self-Studying Secrets of the Casino, Gambling Proficiency plus 1 foot. Self-Studying Secrets of the Casino, Gambling Proficiency plus 1 foot. Young Master Yi, you sure know what to pick. This book has the most in-depth explanation of the casino. If you can comprehend it, you will be undefeatable. Yi Lingchen nodded, then put on a wise man act. To be honest, my nickname in the field is called Prodigy. I only need to glance through these gambling techniques to be a professional gambler. Peeved. Not only Li Si, everyone around him started laughing out loud. Prodigy? This must be a joke. Ha ha ha. He is an idiot, getting hooked after some simple words of praise. Li Si suppressed his urge to laugh, then started sucking up to Yi Lingchen. I can tell with one look that young Master Yi is someone special. You fully deserve the title of Prodigy. Yi Lingchen nodded in satisfaction. If I win later, you guys better not be dishonest about it. Ha ha ha, young Master Yi must be joking. We're running an official casino. Dishonesty? Impossible. Li Si's face bloomed into a bright smile, thumping his chest while promising Yi Lingchen. He could see the tens of millions waving at him. This fellow was thinking of winning? Nonsense. Let me read for a while first, Yi Lingchen said. All right, young Master Yi. You continue your study. After that, the rowdy casino transformed into a special sight. A young man was reading through books after books. His reading speed was extremely quick. In fact, it could not be considered reading. It would be more appropriate to call it flipping through pages. Many of them looked at him and ended up shaking their heads in disapproval. An idiot trying to act cool. You will cry when you lose all your money. Li Si stood in a dark corner, his cold gaze locked onto Yi Lingchen. Be starred, just wait until I get all your money. You'll see how I deal with you. To Li Si, he was enduring humiliation to carry out his mission. Lingchen, are you really going to gamble? Zhang Yunxi was on the verge of tears. You must not gamble. Relax, I know what I'm doing. You need to trust me, Yi Lingchen laughed, a cold gleam flashed in his eyes. It's not that easy to take my money from me. Not only would I win the money back, I will give them a taste of their own medicine. After all, this money was obtained illegally. I will turn this casino into history. But they will surely cheat and be dishonest about it. Zhang Yunxi said in a concerned tone, these are not people that we should cross. Let's go back now and pass our days in peace. If we don't remove this tumor, it will only trouble others. Just sit back and watch. Having said that, Yi Lingchen strode towards the table. Seeing Yi Lingchen taking action, Li Si's eyes brightened and immediately welcomed him. Young Master Yi, how are things? Are you ready to play? Yi Lingchen nodded. I've made a lucky break and I'm ready to test my luck. Made a lucky break? Don't make me laugh. Li Si smirked in his heart, clearing a path for Yi Lingchen. Move aside, young Master Yi is coming through. Young Master Yi wants to play on this table. Yi Lingchen's choice was the most basic golden flower game. Everyone would be given 3 cards and then compare the outcome. Winner takes the money. With such a ruckus, many people looked over towards Yi Lingchen. How much is the minimum bet? Yi Lingchen sat down in a composed manner and asked casually. The minimum bet is RMB 100. Li Si replied with a smile. The minimum bet indicated each bet had to be placed in multiples of RMB 100. Only RMB 100? Yi Lingchen looked dissatisfied, waving his hand and tried to leave. I'm not playing with anything lower than RMB 1000. Wait a moment, young Master Yi, Li Si urgently called out. It was my mistake. It's RMB 1000. With that said, he signaled around with his eyes. Immediately there were people from the crowd that came over and seated on the other seats on this table. There were a total of 6 people including Yi Lingchen. The atmosphere instantly felt off. Hee, you're looking for death. Don't blame me for it. Lingchen, gambling is mostly about deception. Let's not play, Zhang Yunqi continued to advise him, unable to hold it in anymore. What a timely assist, Yi Lingchen smirked. That's right. Gambling is mostly about deception. I need to check the cards first. Not a problem. Li Si had no objections. He smiled as he passed the cards to Yi Lingchen. Yi Lingchen did it as shown in movies, simply went through the cards and passed it back to Li Si. There's no problem with the cards. Let's start. Following that, the cards were shuffled and distributed. 3 cards per person. Yunqi, why don't you take a look for me? Zhang Yunqi was nervous with sweaty palms. Her face flushed red and shuddered with anxiety. All right. She lifted the cards, then opened them with trembling hands. She did not dare to blink at all. It was nerve-wracking. The cards were 3, 6, and 8. Zhang Yunqi sighed with a dejected face, so small. Pass. Yi Lingchen declared. The final winner was a fat guy. His largest card was only a K. He, I sure was lucky. I can't believe I won with a K, the fat guy laughed. Then added with some feigned wisdom, Golden Flower is a game of guts. It's my fault. Our ace was the biggest. We could have won. Zhang Yunqi was regretful for losing so much money in that one loss. Second round, Yi Lingchen still passed. The third round was the same. Up until the 10th round, Yi Lingchen was doing the same. With a minimum bet of RMB 1000, Yi Lingchen had already lost RMB 10,000. Zhang Yunqi bit her lips. That amount was a huge sum for her, yet it was all gone in just a few rounds. The others looking at Yi Lingchen were also shaking their heads. This kid was a rookie, totally ignorant to the psychology of Golden Flower. Passing directly whenever his cards were bad. This made it easy for others to manipulate him. When he got good cards, it was easy for others to tell, ensuring nobody would up his bet. An inexperienced young man trying to gamble, was that not looking for trouble? However, Li Si was getting anxious. His aim was not just for a few tens of thousands. He wanted the millions that Yi Lingchen had. With a well-hidden signal to the dealer immediately understood him and started shuffling the cards. Yi Lingchen's eyes focused in the direction of the shuffling cards. Each of the cards flashed across his eyes as his mouth turned into a smile. Next was the distribution of cards. Yi Lingchen broke his routine. After losing so much money, my luck should be reversing now. This round, I'll not see the card. Let's start the bet with RMB 1000. Betting without looking at the cards. That was a movie called Tempt in Golden Flower. If the opponents looked at their cards, they will have to lose double the amount. Call, me too. I raise again. Yi Lingchen's expression remained the same, raising the bet for more than 10 rounds. The pool of money on the table had formed a little mountain, somewhere around RMB 600,000. Meanwhile, Zhang Yunqi was too nervous for words. Her mouth was dry, feeling as though her body was dehydrated. Finally, Yi Lingchen lifted the cards to have a look. His movement was like that of a rookie. After a look, his expression told everything. With that smile on his face, it was obvious that his cards were pretty good. The others started looking at their cards too. In the end, 3 of them folded, leaving the table with Yi Lingchen and 2 others. I'll raise RMB 10,000, Yi Lingchen exclaimed in surprise. It was rare for him to get some good cards. Zhang Yunqi grabbed onto Yi Lingchen's arm, to the point of her nails biting into his flesh. The eyes of the 2 opponents gleamed as they smiled. Call, me too. I'll raise RMB 100,000, Yi Lingchen raised the stakes continuously like a madman. Call, the other tables had stopped too, surrounding them. None of them had seen a scene like that. This kid has nerves of steel. This is not just raising the bet, he's betting his life. Some of them with lower endurance were clutching at their hearts. It was too exciting. It was too intense. The chips on the table had reached a total of RMB 5 million. By then, it was only Yi Lingchen and the fatty facing off. Lingchen, calm yourself. Zhang Yunxi was on the verge of tears. Nevertheless, Yi Lingchen seemed to have lost his mind. "I'll raise RMB 5 million. That one sentence sent the crowd into an uproar. Insane. Absolute insanity. FCK. Where did this wastrel come from? He's going to lose for sure. He's clearly a rookie, losing his mind with just some good cards. There's an 80% chance that this is a setup. This kid is in trouble. Even if you're rich, you should not waste it like this." Li Si's grin widened. He could already see the countless money waving at him. "Call," the fatty sneered as he broke into a grin, his gaze locking onto his prey. "I still have RMB 10 million. All in. Are you going to call?" Yi Lingchen roared as he stood up, as though he was just insulted. "I call." "Reveal your cards." The fatty laughed heartily, then spread his 3 cards on the table. 7, 8, 9, straight flush. "Dumb kid, you think your cards can be better than mine?" Li Si stood up as well. The smug look on his face was clear to all. The way he looked at Yi Lingchen was no longer eager, but instead gloomy. "Little B****, you lost. We'll be keeping your RMB 20 million. Wahahaha. Hold on, I haven't even shown my cards." Yi Lingchen narrowed his eyes. "Show your cards? Can you beat his cards?" Li Si asked sarcastically. Things were unexpectedly smooth. At first, he thought it might take a few more rounds, but this dumb kid was more stubborn than a hothead. He was sure what Yi Lingchen's cards were, a pair of aces. When they distributed the cards, everything was set. Zhang Yunxi was short of breath from her anxiety, almost to the point of suffocating. Never in her life did she imagine that much money, yet she was witnessing so much money placed in front of her. Of all things, on a gambling table. Lingchen. She took multiple deep breaths, barely calming herself down, then looked towards Yi Lingchen with worried eyes. If they lost this round, she would surely pass out. "Don't worry, relax." Yi Lingchen smiled at Zhang Yunxi. "Little B****, are you showing your cards or not? No matter how you drag it out, you're losing this round," Li Si scolded impatiently. "Are you sure? Could it be that you know what my cards are?" Yi Lingchen asked while giving Li Si a mischievous look. Li Si sneered, "I just think that your cards should be lesser than his. This is an official casino. There's no way we will cheat. I hope you can say that when you lose." Yi Lingchen put on a smile, then took his phone out of his pocket. "God of gamblers, give me strength." Dang dang dang. Dang dang dang. A familiar tune sounded, the tune from the movie God of Gamblers. "Be starred, just what are you doing?" Li Si scowled. "What can a tune do?" "You're wrong. This is the tune of God of Gamblers." Yi Lingchen corrected him. "I'm a man that brings his tune with me." Following that, he placed the cards in front of Zhang Yunxi. "Yunxi, lend me your breath, bless my victory." Zhang Yunxi's pretty eyes were glued to Yi Lingchen, then carefully blew onto the cards. The surrounding crowd shook their heads, sighing in disappointment. This guy must have gone crazy from the shock of losing so much money. "I'm showing my cards now." In one sentence, he managed to push everyone's focus to the limits. With the tune in the background, he lifted the cards high in the air, then placed them down quickly with a dashing pose. 3 aces. At that moment, those 3 cards seemed to be glowing, dazzling the crowd. Li Si's eyes almost popped out of its socket. In just an instant, he fell from heaven to hell. "Ah, we won, we won." Zhang Yunxi covered her mouth in disbelief, her tears streaming down her cheeks. On the table, added with Yi Lingchen's RMB 20 million, there was another RMB 30 million extra on the side. That is to say, in this round, Yi Lingchen had earned RMB 30 million. The dreamlike situation caused Zhang Yunxi's mind to go blank. The surrounding crowd too went into an uproar. Is this for real? That kid won? A total of RMB 50 million. Holy **T. My eyes. Li Si is in trouble now. This time he really met a pro. He must have been acting from the start. "Rich man, let's be friends." "Impossible. This is impossible." Li Si pulled on his hair while his face turned red. Glaring at Yi Lingchen. "How did you get 3 aces? It should have been 2. His eyes popped wide open, then pointed at Yi Lingchen. "You're cheating." "Hee, if you already know what my cards were, how can you say that I'm cheating?" Yi Lingchen laughed. "A bet is a bet. Didn't you say that this is a legal casino?" "Of course it's a legal casino, but you cheated. I will never let you leave this place." Li Si's face was extremely dark. "Guys, send the customers out." Immediately, a group of ferocious-looking thugs with weapons in their hands came in. The crowd dared not complain and were quickly escorted out. "Be starred. How dare you trick me?" Li Si steeled his face, his expression exuding a strong killing intent. "Today, not only will I take your RMB 20 million, your woman, I will take your life too." That money on the table was everything he had since the opening of the casino. If Yi Lingchen took them away, his future prospects would be hopeless. "Really?" Yi Lingchen asked with a calm expression. "I'll give you one last chance. If you kneel, apologize and let me leave with the money, I will leave it at that." "Ha ha ha, wah ha ha ha." Li Si laughed as though he heard the funniest joke in the world. He rocked back and forth while laughing, even crying from the laughter. "Stubborn to your last breath. You be **starred. This is the wrong place for you to act tough. I'll have you begging for mercy later. Go." Over 20 muscular thugs immediately closed in around Yi Lingchen with baseball bats in their hands. Their bodies were bulky, almost the size of 2 adults, and were smiling with bloodlust. "Die!" One of them led the charge. His baseball bat raised up high and swung at Yi Lingchen's head. Yi Lingchen's eyes lowered and sent out a kick, quick as lightning. Everyone only saw a blur, then the thug flew away like a ball being kicked. He laid on the floor spasming for a bit, then turned completely still. WTF? Is that for real? That thug was at least 300 pounds. With just a kick, he flew backward? The rest of them felt their eyebrows twitching. A feeling of unease rose from the depths of their heart. It felt as though they ran into someone using hacks. However, they were like an arrow on the bowstring, unable to back down. They roared to boost their morale and rushed at Yi Lingchen together. Bang 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 bang. A rhythmic sound could be heard. It was as though Yi Lingchen was kicking a football. His kicks did not pause, kicking each as they came in an organized manner. 20 seconds later, the 20 over thugs were all lying on the floor moaning in pain. None of them were able to stand. Li Si was stunned. His forehead sweating bullets and his legs felt weak, rendering him stuck on the floor from shock. He muttered to himself, almost losing his sanity, how is this possible? You're not human." Zhang Yunqi was similarly shocked with her mouth agape. Her pretty eyes glowed as she stared at Yi Lingchen's back. She was trapped in absolute despair. Who would have known that Yi Lingchen was such a great fighter? Thud! Seeing Yi Lingchen walking up to him step by step, Li Si immediately fell to his knees. His face was filled with horror, begging him, "Good sir, I'm wrong. You can take the money, please let me go." Yi Lingchen gave Li Si a cold glare. "Hee, you wanted to take my life. Do you think I should let you go? Murder is illegal. You mustn't kill me," Li Si screamed. "So now you know the existence of the law?" Yi Lingchen sneered. "I won't kill you, but I will break your hands. That way you won't be troubling anyone in the future." "No, don't." Li Si's eyes were filled with despair. Ring. Right at that moment, Li Si's phone started ringing. After a quick glance, his expression of despair turned into joy, as though a drowning person grabbing onto a life-saving straw. He quickly answered the call. "Hello, young Master Lu. It's me, little Li. What, you're coming over? Of course. I'll wait for you, it's just that I've run into a little trouble. I'm relieved if you're coming over. I'll wait for you." Ending the call, his face immediately turned red. With the eyes of a madman, he stared at Yi Lingchen and laughed maniacally. "Ha ha ha, you're dead. Young Master Lu is on the way. I can guarantee that you will die a horrible death. Wah ha 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 ha." Young Master Lu? Yi Lingchen had a confused expression. Which young Master Lu? He's one of the princes of Capital City, Lu Group's only son. Lu Hao? Li Si's face glowed radiantly, his eyes gleaming. He had always acted with impunity and his assets are in the billions. In front of him, you're just an ant. I've once got to know a young Master Lu. Who would have thought that he would remember me? The thugs in his house alone numbered in the hundreds. And all of them are trained. They go by the name of Cleaver Gang. Li Si got more excited as he bragged. His face was red and the veins on his neck were bulging. "How is it? Are you scared? If you kneel and kowtow to me now, I will consider putting in a good word for you." "Lingchen, what should we do?" Zhang Yunqi was terrified once more. Yi Lingchen laughed it off. "It's okay, we will wait here for that young Master Lu. You're asking for death. Where young Master Lu passes, the land turns barren. I guarantee that you'll regret this." Li Si stood up, barking at Yi Lingchen like a mad dog that was waiting for its owner. 15 minutes later, vroom! The rumbling sound of the engine roared through the air from afar, rushing closer like a beast. "He's here," Li Si proclaimed excitedly as though he was on drugs. "Young Master Lu is here." Without any other words, he rushed outside to greet the guest. A black Hummer parked in front of the villa's entrance. Li Si eagerly went forward to open the door for Lu Hao and welcomed him. Behind Lu Hao was the same bodyguard duo. The three of them stood tall with a lordly presence, ignoring Li Si. However, Li Si dared not show any discontent. He instead bent over and put on an ingratiating smile. "It's an honor for me to have young Master Lu come over for a visit." Lu Hao calmly nodded his head, then frowned. "Your place is really run down. Even my toilet is better." Of course. How can my place compare to young Master Lu? Rest assured, I will arrange the best hotel for you to stay at, Li Si replied with a bow. "The hotels here are surely trashy too." Lu Hao shook his head. "If not for my father asking me to come to wait out the storm over here, I'll never come to this kind of desolate town." "Wait out the storm?" Li Si was surprised, shocked even. What kind of person does it take to have young Master Lu go into hiding? This world has too many capable people. I too have crossed someone I should not. Fortunately, that person is generous and left it at that," Lu Hao said in a fearful tone. He still could not forget what his father Lu Tianshang told him before Lu Hao left home. "However, even though that person left it at that, the Lin family had already sent us a warning. This incident's consequences are too dire. You have gotten into deep trouble." "Dad, what should we do? Will we get through this?" "Our family will pay dearly for sure, but you must remember to keep a low profile in the future. Make sure you never cross that person again." "Dad, don't worry, I won't dare to do that again. To prevent you from causing more trouble, it'll be wise for you to stay low for now. You should go and wait out the storm." With that, Lu Hao ended up here and coincidentally contacted Li Si. Lu Hao's words had Li Si's heart skip a beat and started sweating profusely. "Is this the fabled fight between the gods?" "Right, you said someone was stirring up trouble at your place?" Lu Hao asked. "Yes. That B***** cheated in my casino. He took all my savings away. Most importantly, he is a very good fighter," Li Si said resentfully. Lu Hao nodded without saying anything, but the aura he gave off was something that made Li Si excited. Young Master Lu was going to avenge him. The four of them strode in intimidatingly. Lu Hao at the forefront, strutting his way into the villa. However, mid-stride, Li Si realized that young Master Lu had prostrated himself on the floor. Li Si was stunned for a moment. "Young Master Lu, why did you suddenly kneel mid-stride? Are your legs numb? Here, let me help you." The next moment, the two bodyguards following Lu Hao too had knelt to the floor with a loud thud. Their faces were filled with horror when they saw their nemesis, which they would never forget. Yi Lingchen was seated on the chair, looking at them with an insincere smile, causing their scalp to go numb. Their legs went weak. The loss of control resulted in them kneeling. "What's the matter?" Li Si's face was riddled with confusion. "Lu Hao greets Grandmaster Yi." Lu Hao was almost scared to tears. After calming himself with great difficulty, he finally managed to squeeze out that greeting. Boom! Li Si's mind was blown, turning blank instantly. His lips shivered. The sounds of his grinding teeth could be heard clearly. It was summer then, but his limbs felt cold. His entire body was shivering. Grandmaster Yi." He looked at Yi Lingchen fearfully. His body bent over and assumed the kneeling position on the floor, speaking through shaking lips. Yi Lingchen ignored him, but instead turned to Lu Hao and greeted him calmly. "Young Master Lu, it's been a while." Lu Hao ingratiatingly said, "Grandmaster Yi, it is my honor that you still remember me." "I heard that you are here to help someone get rid of me?" Yi Lingchen followed with a question. Lu Hao's heart immediately sank. His head shook like a pellet drum and replied in a terrified voice, "No such thing. I would never dare to cross you." Following that, he grabbed Li Si by his side and without any words, gave him 3 big slaps across his face. "You B*****, how dare you trouble Grandmaster Yi? You got a death wish." Lu Hao felt bitter. The reason he came out was to stay low, but coming here pushed him to the front end of the spear instead. Li Si's action was no different from sending him into a fiery pit. "It's my mistake, Grandmaster Yi. I didn't recognize you with my limited knowledge. I'm sorry. Li Si's face was already swollen, But he could not care less at a time like this, kowtowing like a madman begging for mercy. Yi Lingchen stood up slowly, then walked up to Lu Hao's side. Lu Hao swallowed a mouthful of saliva, then looked up to Yi Lingchen fearfully. Yi Lingchen lightly tapped his shoulder. This person set up a gambling session in private and entrapped my friend. He even wanted to rob my money. As for how to settle this, I'll leave that to you. Following that, he took Zhang Yunqi with him headed for the door. Oh right, I'm taking away the money that I won. Please go ahead. Goodbye Grandmaster Yi. Lu Hao replied politely, finally letting out a sigh of relief as he stared at Yi Lingchen's back. In that short time, his clothes were drenched in sweat. Immediately afterward, his cruel gaze locked onto Li Si, roaring, "Be-starred. Are you trying to get the entire Lu family killed? Beat him to death." Crashing sounds ensued. Outside the villa, Yi Lingchen could hear Li Si's agonized screams. Meanwhile, Zhang Yunqi was still in a daze. Her mouth was slightly open with her eyes wide open. That dazed look stared at Yi Lingchen, adorable beyond compare. "What's wrong? You don't recognize me?" Yi Lingchen laughed. "A little bit." Zhang Yunqi knitted her brows together. "I realized that you changed a lot. You're not the same as when you were a kid." Yi Lingchen smiled. "You too. You're much prettier now." Zhang Yunqi blushed then asked out of curiosity, "Oh, what happened to the cards? How did you win?" "Gambling is filled with deception." Yi Lingchen looked at Zhang Yunqi. "Actually, the 5 people that gambled with me were all Li Si's lackeys, including the dealer. The dealer had picked up some magic tricks and did something to the cards. That's why they could control my cards. However, right at the start when I touched the cards, I slipped an ace and hid it on me." After a moment's pause, Yi Lingchen continued, "Furthermore, when he marked the cards, I have also memorized the sequence of the cards. I knew what cards they were having too." "That means your 10 consecutive losses were just an act? Was it to wait for the right chance?" Zhang Yunqi stared at Yi Lingchen with a look of surprise. "I didn't expect you to be that amazing. Gambling techniques are just some deviant skill set. It's not worth mentioning," Yi Lingchen replied with a wave of his hand. "Right then, how did you come to know that young Master Lu?" "I'm attending Capital City University and he's from Capital City. It's just by chance that we got to know each other." Zhang Yunqi had her doubts about Yi Lingchen's answer, yet she did not question him any further. When they mentioned the university, her expression turned sullen all of a sudden. "Yunqi, I'm sorry. If I knew about it earlier, you wouldn't have had to give up university." Yi Lingchen could not help but apologize. Zhang Yunqi shook her head. "This isn't your fault. I should thank you instead. Don't forget you're still my debtor." After a moment of silence, Yi Lingchen asked, "What's your plan for the future?" "I plan to go look for a job to ease my family's stress." "What about?" "Lingchen, you're helped me enough. I can't trouble you anymore," Zhang Yunqi stated before Yi Lingchen could finish. Yi Lingchen sighed and kept silent. Without them realizing, they had reached Zhang Yunqi's home. Mr. and Mrs. Zhang were worried sick while waiting for them. Only when they saw both of them did they let out a sigh of relief. After some short exchanges, Yi Lingchen departed. He did not head home but instead ran to the town nearby. He knew at that time his parents were still working. Kai Yuan Jade Ware. That was Xu Zhen's work location, selling all sorts of jade ware. Although it could not compete with the bigger stores, it had better deals. Furthermore, the jade wares they sold had decent coloration, bringing them decent business in town. Xu Zhen worked as the cashier of Kai Yuan Jade Ware. The job was simple. Although not tiring, it was not relaxing either. She had to welcome the guests with a smile every day. It was already 4 p.m. The foot traffic was starting to pick up. Xu Zhen continually greeted the customers that came to the shop and recommended suitable jade ware to them. The tea and water that was served was for the guests. She would have to endure the dryness that came with all the greetings and talking. "Xu Zhen, it's been a while." At that moment, a fashionably dressed rich lady walked up to Xu Zhen and greeted her with a smiling face. The rich lady had curvy hair and her face had some light makeup on. She was wearing a tight-fitting deep red wave-patterned long dress with a pair of crystal high-heel shoes. Her appearance was beautiful, her movements elegant and classy. Beside her stood a boy in a white suit with round-framed glasses. That boy was of similar age with Yi Lingchen, with an extra touch of maturity between his brows. It was apparent that he had some experience within the society. Xu Zhen was taken aback, then smiled. "Su Ya, long time no see." Old friend, the last reunion was 2 years ago, Su Ya recollected. Following that, she looked at Shu Zhen. I was passing by and suddenly remembered that you work here as a salesperson, so I came in to have a look. Shu Zhen composed herself. You're shopping for jade? Su Ya nodded, seemingly frustrated. Yeah. At first, I didn't plan to spend the money. You know, people of our generation were used to being thrifty. However, my son disagrees. He insists on buying one for me. Don't you think it's aggravating? Shu Zhen laughed. Is he your son? Such a filial child. Oh, I forgot to introduce you. This is my son Chu Yuan. He was never good at his studies. Fortunately, he was successful at starting his own business. Now he's the boss of a small factory. Su Ya continued. Quick, greet Aunt Shu. To be a boss at such a young age. Your son sure is capable, Shu Zhen said as she adjusted her hair. It's just him doing his own things. Su Ya laughed, then continued. Shu Zhen, I heard your son's studies were not ideal. How was his national college entrance exam results? He was rather lucky. He ended up in Capital University. Capital University? Su Ya gasped, but continued afterward. Actually, going to universities might not be the best these days. Remember that news last time about the Watching University doctoral student who ended up as a butcher? Don't you think it's funny? I saw that news too. I think the aim of studying is to earn more money. Instead of wasting 4 years at the university, they might as well join the workforce earlier to earn money. Chu Yuan pushed his glasses. Take me for example. Even though I did not attend university, there are a few university graduates in my factory. Didn't they just end up working for me? Shu Zhen laughed along, not saying anything. Su Ya, however, did not stop. Oh Shu Zhen. We're the ones suffering to have our kids go to school. Your son was accepted into Capital University, but you have to suffer for another 4 more years. Look at you. Selling jadeware for so many years, but you're not even wearing one. I feel sorry for you. Shu Zhen tightened her lips, then changed the topic. Su Ya, what type of jadeware are you looking for? I recommend this jade bracelet. The price is only at RMB 2000, but the color is nice. Furthermore, today there's a 10% discount. This is the best deal. Only RMB 2000? Chu Yuan scowled, then immediately shook his head. RMB 2000 is too cheap. Those are low-quality goods, not suitable for my mom's status. Su Ya threw an apologetic smile at Shu Zhen. This kid is such a wastrel. He just made some money and he's letting it go to his head. His spending mindset is different from ours. Sigh, such a headache. Mom, don't you try to be thrifty for me. I don't lack money, Chu Yuan said in a generous tone. You see this kid? Getting his money and he's adamant about being filial. I can't even persuade him. The smile on Su Ya's face was blossoming like a flower. Why not try this bracelet? RMB 5000, Shu Zhen continued recommending. RMB 5000 is still too cheap. Don't bother with those below RMB 10,000, Chu Yuan said with a wave. Quite a few people around them stared at Su Ya, their gaze filled with envy. Look at her kid, I'm so envious. Chu Yuan did a quick scan, and pointed at a jade bracelet. Mom, this one isn't bad. The price is RMB 12,000, why don't you give it a try? Shu Zhen took out the bracelet. Su Ya put it on, and her face lit up in pleasure as she held it up in front of Shu Zhen's gaze. Shu Zhen, what do you think? Does it look good on me? Gifts that my son gives me are just not the same. He's finally earned enough to spend on his mother. It does look good. Shu Zhen nodded. Suddenly, at that moment, her entire body froze. She looked at the entrance of Kai Yuan Jade Ware. She thought that her eyes were fooling her, and she could not help but rub her eyes. Lingchen, how are you back? She asked as she looked at Yi Lingchen in disbelief. Mom, I had some errands to run and was passing by, so I popped in to see you, Yi Lingchen said with a smile. He had seen everything that had just happened, and he felt remorseful. He had never bought anything for his parents. Shu Zhen, is this your son? He's fairly good looking. Su Ya looked at Yi Lingchen, before continuing, today isn't a weekend, is he skipping class? As far as I know, it isn't rare to skip class in university. Therefore it makes me feel even more certain that going to university is a waste of time. Chu Yuan immediately spoke up. It was rare for him to flaunt in front of a talent from Capital University. Forgetting himself, he continued, since he's back, I think he has run out of money for living expenses, and he's back to ask for more. Wow, he's already at university and he's still asking for money. I heard that a lot of university students still ask for money even after they've found a job. They really are babies who never grow up. I pity the parents of the world, Su Ya said with a sigh. In the store, quite a few heads nodded in agreement. Who can deny that? These days parents only hope that their sons become dragons, and their daughters phoenixes, and keep sending them for an education. But an education doesn't mean they'll get a good living. That's right, not only is an education not an income, but it's a great expense. Children should just enter the workforce earlier. I know someone, just to let their children study, they've sold their house and got their children through university with great difficulty. However, their children still haven't found a job, and the house has already appreciated by a few million. Wow, what a bad investment. Shu Zhen looked at Yi Lingchen, and asked out of concern, Lingchen, are you short? Tell mom now. Yi Lingchen shook his head, I just wanted to visit, but since I thought I never bought you and dad a proper gift, I decided to come in. Silly boy, why spend that money? Shu Zhen laughed. Buy a gift? Su Ya could not help but laugh snidely, spending your parents' money, and still buy them a tiny gift worth a few hundred RMB. Yi Lingchen ignored her. Mom, what's the most expensive jade piece here? Can you show it to me? The crowd looked at Yi Lingchen in disbelief. Shu Zhen hesitated for a moment and brought out a jade bracelet. At first glance, the quality of the jade bracelet was far different from others. It was incomparably fine, without a single trace of any defects. Compared to the one on Su Ya's hand, it was like comparing a chicken to a phoenix. This jade bracelet. How much is it? Su Ya's eyes were wide open. This is the treasure of this store, and nobody in the town can afford it. It was only meant to be a showpiece. The price tag is RMB 188,000, Shu Zhen said. Shish. Everybody in the shop gasped and stared at the bracelet. RMB 188,000, this was an extreme statement piece, normal people would never even think of it. However, I'll take it. The neutral tone made everyone's head turn, and their gazes fell on Yi Lingchen. He must be mad. Regardless of if he had money, even if he did, one should think before spending so much in an instant just to buy a jade bracelet unless they just had too much money and nowhere to spend it on. You'll take it? Su Ya looked at Yi Lingchen in disbelief, and nearly laughed. What do you have to take it? That's RMB 188,000, not RMB 18.80. Yi Lingchen's face was deadpan. Really? To me, 188,000 and 18.80 are no different. With that, he took out a card and passed it to Shu Zhen. Mom, this is a gift for you. I'll pay by card. This? Shu Zhen was stunned, and looked at Yi Lingchen, speaking in a worried tone. Lingchen, calm down, it's not worth it to spend this much. Mom, this is just a bit of filial piety from your son. Don't worry, I can make money now. Yi Lingchen looked into Shu Zhen's eyes, and continued, Mom, don't you understand? I really do have money now. Shu Zhen took the card with much trepidation. She was moved and unwilling all at the same time. That's enough, Shu Zhen, stop pretending. You're a salesperson in this shop. You and your son are putting on a show. Su Ya came to her senses, and could not help but laugh coldly. We're all old schoolmates, how could I possibly not know about your situation? Why do you need to put up a show in front of me? That's right, how much can a university student make? Chu Yuan added in disbelief. He claimed that he had opened a factory, but it was just a workshop with 5 staff in it. A year's profit was only roughly RMB 100,000. It was already an extravagance for him to spend 10,000 on a jade bracelet. He did not even think about one that cost 180,000. Yi Lingchen did not speak. He swiped his card and entered his PIN. The POS device chimed lightly, and the receipt was printed. The payment was successful. The entire place was quiet. Su Ya's jaw very nearly hit the floor, her eyes wide. She was unable to say a single word. The fact that Yi Lingchen had that much money in his card was surprising enough, but what was even more surprising was that he actually paid. Jade Ware was not like other places. Once payment was made, a refund was impossible. That was to say, the transaction was real, impossible. How could you have so much money? Su Ya ran over, and picked up the printed receipt of the POS device, and scrutinized it. The payment was for RMB 188,000, and not a cent less. Hello, is Mr. Yi here? At that moment, a young lady dressed in the uniform of a server walked in. What drew the eye was that she carried a transparent box in her hands. Within the box was a golden pipe that shined so bright it hurt to look at. "That will be me," said Yi Lingchen. The young lady walked over and spoke reverently. "Mr. Yi, good day. Here is the golden pipe you purchased, and your receipt for RMB 200,000. Please make sure you keep it." "Alright, thank you. Mr. Yi, this is a VIP card from Dasheng Goldware. Your next purchase is 10% off." Yi Lingchen nodded. When the young lady left, the entire store was silent. They were all awed, including Su Ya and Chu Yuan. What was originally a few whispered words of doubt was now completely silenced. Receipt, golden pipe, VIP card, any single one of them would be extremely attention-grabbing, and they might turn Su Ya blind. "Mom, I'll need to head home soon. This golden pipe is for Dad, and you should wear the jade bracelet. It's good for you." Yi Lingchen smiled. "Lingchen, this." Tears formed in Shu Zhen's eyes, and she could no longer speak. "Mom, your son doesn't lack for money anymore, to the point that he can't spend it all." Yi Lingchen's voice was not loud, but his words felt like hammer blows that pummeled the heads of all who were there. One golden pipe, RMB 200,000. One jade bracelet, RMB 188,000. Buying just one of them would make one's heart jump. However, he had bought one each for his parents. This was something that only the children of rich families could do. Chu Yuan's actions, compared to Yi Lingchen's, made him look like a beggar. "Lingchen, how did you get this much money?" Shu Zhen asked hesitantly. Yi Lingchen smiled. "Mom, I'm from Capital University. Other companies often recruit our students, and they wouldn't dare offer less than RMB 1 million in annual income. I was lucky, and a company recruited me. The annual income isn't much, it's only just about 1 million, but there are incentives." "Ah, you're boasting." Su Ya pursed her lips unwittingly. "Do you think we're dumb? You just got into university, and found a job. Could it be you took a loan for this?" Shu Yuan immediately nodded. "I heard that a lot of university students take a loan for the sake of their reputation. And at the end of the day, they bankrupt their family. Ah, what a shame." However, before Yi Lingchen could reply, an automated voice could be heard from his cell phone. "Account credited. RMB 1 million, holy sh*t. A large number of people had their mouths agape, their jaws almost hitting the floor. It would take time for them to close them. Yi Lingchen frowned slightly and looked at his account statement. It was from Lu Hao. The notation for the transaction was compensation. Shu Zhen looked at Yi Lingchen in awe. "Lingchen, this." "Mom, don't worry, I pulled in a large client last month. This is the commission from the company." As he spoke, Yi Lingchen shook his head in displeasure. "Now and then they transfer 1 million to me. What do I need that much money for? It's a pain in the butt. If you can't finish spending it, let me spend it. I also want to have that kind of trouble." In their hearts, the others wanted to relieve him of that trouble. Su Ya forced herself into a very stiff smile. Sister Zhen, your son has accomplished as a youth, it makes one jealous." "He got lucky. Beijing is a big city, with a lot of opportunities," Shu Zhen replied. "That's true, but it just means that sending him out to study was correct. You've finally made something of yourself." Su Ya was acting weird. And was being extremely friendly. "Your son must have met a lot of people in Peking. We should meet up for dinner since we're old schoolmates. Your son could also help mine to get connections." Yi Lingchen stuck around at the store for a while longer, before Shu Zhen nagged him to return to Beijing for classes and work. Even though she was extremely unwilling to do so, in her mind, the career of her son took precedence. As he walked out the door, Yi Lingchen immediately called Lu Hao. "Grandmaster Yi?" Lu Hao said, extremely cautiously. "Yeah, you transferred the money, Grandmaster Yi. Li Si tried to cheat your friend of 500,000. I was so mad. I not only taught him a lesson on behalf of you but also had to give you some form of compensation." Lu Hao spoke in supreme humility. "This 1 million is penance for his actions. If it's too little, just say the word. I have received the money. As for the business between us, we can consider it settled," Yi Lingchen simply said. Okay, Grandmaster Yi is very forgiving. He can contain a boat in his stomach. It's no wonder he's a noble." Lu Hao's mouth was full of empty praise, but his heart was full of joy. After he had met Yi Lingchen, he had immediately called Lu Tianshang and told him about what happened from start to end. Lu Tianshang was first shocked, but was overjoyed later. An opportunity. This was an opportunity to kiss up to Yi Lingchen. He immediately gave Lu Hao the authority to act. It was not easy to meet Grandmaster Yi. If one didn't make use of it, what difference would there be between them and a dumb SS? Grandmaster Yi, what do you need? Lu Hao asked attentively. Yi Lingchen thought for a moment. Help me buy a ticket back to Beijing today. Of course. Lu Hao immediately scurried off to do as he was told. Yi Lingchen could not help but laugh after he hung up. This father and son pair from the Lu family were interesting. When he got back to the campus it was already 10 p.m. He did not do much today, other than traveling between Beijing and Rugao City. He only went around gambling and showing off, but he was exhausted. He immediately requested a day off on Huyu streaming and fell asleep immediately after he returned to the hostel. The next day, he got up, washed up, then went for his morning exercise before having his breakfast, all in quick succession. Yi Lingchen felt his limbs, and his brows raised ever so slightly. He will have to contact Lin Ao and replace his sandbags. The weight of each sandbag will need to be increased by 5 kilograms. Ever since he had started to improve his Arhat fist, he always felt that following his training, he experienced an exponential increase in his speed. His hands started to show masses of air that flowed like water. Ding ling ling. At that moment, his phone rang. Looking at the notification, it was Xiao Feifei that called him. Lingchen, what connection do you have to the Y that recently surfaced? He had just picked up the call, and Xiao Feifei's extremely nervous question was heard. Yi Lingchen's heart sunk. Could it be that using the name Y was too high key, and was finally attracting the attention of people? Would he be unable to hide the existence of the system? He calmed himself and immediately denied, I don't have any connection, I'm only the Y that's responsible for shooting shows. Phew. That's good then. Xiao Feifei sighed. Miss Feifei, what's wrong? You don't know, right now regardless of TikTok or the music boards, a new Y has suddenly appeared, and he's gone viral. Pausing for a moment, Xiao Feifei continued, especially that influencer called Chen Xiaoyan. She spoke openly that she will only marry Y, she's called me 5 times now. Oh, that issue. Yi Lingchen felt a degree of relief. You don't know how serious things are, I'm a woman. I can feel Chen Xiaoyan's determination. She will definitely find a way to find Y. Xiao Feifei's voice was worried. She's determined to first confirm your identity through me. When you're alone outside, you need to be careful. You are a bit late with that, I've already half popped my cherry. Ah, it was difficult to be a man, don't worry, Miss Feifei, I will be careful, Yi Lingchen said. Then that's all. Since you're not the Y she's looking for, then I can be at ease. Xiao Feifei said, before hanging up. The care Miss Feifei shows to me is rather weird, she would care about my virginity? Yi Lingchen thought to himself when at the next moment, his cell phone rang again. He looked, and it was Song Qian. Why, hello. Why is there another Y suddenly popping up? Are both of you connected? Song Qian asked in anxiousness as well. No relation at all, I'm just the Y that is in charge of live streaming, Yi Lingchen immediately said. Oh, if that's the case. Never mind then. Unlike Xiao Feifei, Song Qian sounded somewhat disappointed. After chatting with Song Qian for a bit, he hung up. Yi Lingchen naturally knew Song Qian's intentions. A streaming platform needed to attract traffic. If these Ys were the same, then they could engineer a ploy and attract more people to the live streams and watch Y God. It was a shame that Yi Lingchen was naturally not going to admit that they were one and the same. Opening TikTok, the first post on his feed after refreshing was from Chen Xiaoyan. She wore a white dress of antiquated design and held a fan in her hand. Her voice was mellow and heavenly, and she sang smoothly. Can I follow behind you, like a shadow following light, we would travel. I can wait at this street, and I don't care if you'd pass me by. Every time you lift your head, even tears feel free. Being in love is like sunlight shining down, you have it and you lose it. There were already 3 million likes on it and over 30,000 comments. It's so good, I keep playing it on repeat. I can't get enough of it. Chen Xiaoyan, I love you. She's all over TikTok, she's gone viral. Do you know you're so hot? He scrolled down. The next thread was Chen Xiaoyan as usual, but the angle was different, it must have been shot by a pedestrian. Continuing to scroll, it was all the same, scrolling once more, it finally wasn't her, but the background music was, Chaser of the Light. He scrolled again, and it Chen Xiaoyan again, However, this time she wasn't singing, it was a video essay. The name of this song is Chaser of the Light. When I was trapped in darkness, it was the light I saw. I want to thank Y. He wrote this song for me and made me who I am now. I also want to thank him for the words he wrote for me. She then pulled out a piece of paper, and written on it were the words, "Don't despair. Life is like a heartbeat monitor. If it's flat, that just means you're dead." She continued to say, "Why, no matter where you are, I will be like in the song, following you from behind, like a shadow following the light, we could travel." This likes on this TikTok video far exceeded all those before. It had hit 5 million likes, and there were over 80,000 comments. It had exploded. Why? It's why again. Don't despair. Life is like a heartbeat monitor. If it's flat, that just means you're dead. This sentence is humorous and reasonable. This why is so talented it's terrifying. Terrifying, it's too terrifying. I'm starting to suspect this world isn't the world that I'm from. Chen Xiaoyan, I hope you finally find a light that is your own. This why is too impressive. Chen Xiaoyan, our goddess, is completely obsessed. Let's all find why for our goddess Chen Xiaoyan. And this was only TikTok. The trending searches on Weibo put Chen Xiaoyan and Y on the first and second positions. At the same time, a wave of comments started. Who was the person behind the different Ys? Yi Lingchen's Weibo was blowing up. Movie Y. Come out now. Do you know who are the other Ys? I will summarize for everyone. Right now we have Movie Y, Livestream Y, Superman Y, Songwriter Y, that's 4 Ys. All of the Ys are extremely impressive. The image of the peak of the industry? I can't take it anymore. I need to change my name. It has to have a Y in it. Apart from this, Chen Xiaoyan's Weibo also tagged Yi Lingchen and asked him about Y to avoid a misunderstanding. Yi Lingchen immediately chose not to pay her any heed. He did not think that he would inadvertently become popular again. Truly, life was full of surprises. Booting up the system, a popularity score that had diminished to over 3,000 had exploded to 65,873. With a bit more hard work, he could ascend another category of knowledge. The thought of that made him excited. Perhaps he should put in some effort and push up his popularity? Yi Lingchen put his thoughts to action, and since he had no class, he immediately went to an internet cafe. Since everybody had already started calling out Y, he may as well ease their efforts. He first changed his Weibo account name to Movie Y. After that, he created 2 other accounts for Livestream Y and Songwriter Y. In order to maintain the air of mystery around the persona, Yi Lingchen did not create an account for Superman Y. When these Weibo accounts surfaced, it once again drew a wave of attention. There were countless comments, and his fan count began to rise exponentially. DMN, they're finally starting to sort themselves? 666? I seriously doubt that there will be other Ys in the future. This cannot possibly be a group. They seem like they've agreed, and none of them will reveal their faces. After creating the accounts, Yi Lingchen did not do anything. Instead, he watched as his popularity score continued to rise. In half a day, it had grown from 65,873 to 87,952. It was just short of 100,000, that was too bad. However, almost at the same time, Yi Lingchen's Weibo beeped. It was Shi Lei, whom Yi Lingchen had insulted previously. He had gone under the radar for a few days, but had resurfaced again. He had not only tagged Yi Lingchen, but he also tagged the other 2 Ys. At that time, just as the 3 Weibos were at their most popular, Shi Lei had jumped on the bandwagon, and shamelessly tried to gain some popularity. He posted a video of an action scene, and it looked like part of his new movie. Within, the 2 participants went back and forth, their movements smooth, and occasionally there were a few scenes of them wall running. The flurry of blades looked real and ferocious. At Livestream Y, your candle-blowing ghost was very well said. Why don't you come and be a writer for my new movie? At Songwriter Y, Chaser of the Light is really good. Why don't you write a song for my new movie? At Movie Y, take a good look at what a big screen action movie is. You haven't gotten in yet. His actions gave him a lot of attention. The moment the video was released, it immediately broke 100,000 views. The comments below were all in favor, and countless people all commented that they had to go to the cinema and watch the movie. Yi Lingchen smirked slightly. This fellow came out at the right time, just as he was trying to figure out how to attract more popularity. He was not rushed, and he replied one at a time. Livestream Y. Shi Lei, your mother's calling you home for dinner. Songwriter Y. Shi Lei, please get out of my sight with as little trouble as possible. Movie Y. Please could you roll into a ball, and after that, very slowly roll away. 3 replies had stunned those on Weibo who were not in the know. However, very quickly, the passionate masses found out the insinuations within. D*MN, aren't these 3 sentences saying the same thing? Get lost. 666,666. Regardless of which Y it is, they certainly all have swagger. Ha ha ha, a talent, what a talent. I didn't think there would be so many ways to tell somebody to get lost. It's no wonder he's Y, just any word would make people think deeply, the meaning is deep. I declare, the trending statements on the internet have all been taken by Y. Of these 3 statements, the first one was the most euphemistic, and the easiest to use as a rallying cry. A lot of overly enthusiastic netizens flocked to Shi Lei's Weibo to comment, Shi Lei, your mother's calling you home for dinner. Shi Lei's Weibo was suddenly bombarded by comments saying, your mother's calling you home for dinner. He turned green the moment he refreshed his feed. At first, he was content to let it be, but these words had even put his name in front of it. A personal attack, this was a blatant personal attack. Shi Lei steadied his breath, however, he was a smart man, and knew he could not insult all of the Ys. Therefore he targeted Yi Lingchen. Apart from insulting people, what else are you good at? I will show you what true Chinese martial arts is. In recent years, military themes were gaining popularity. A lot of people dreamed of getting into the warriors department. Therefore, the notion of Chinese martial arts had crept into the hearts of people. Shi Lei's words immediately got the excitement of several martial arts fans. Seeing the effects of him jumping on the martial arts bandwagon, a smile crept across Shi Lei's face. He began to openly promote his movie, occasionally explaining a few martial arts techniques and martial arts jargon. It made the fans extremely excited. Yi Lingchen hesitated for a moment before he commented on Movie Y's Weibo. Kung Fu has always enjoyed a long history and has existed since ancient Chinese times. Regardless of whether it is the heroes of the Three Kingdoms era, or the generals of the Tang and Song eras, or the Shaolin Temple that everyone is familiar with, we can see the presence of martial arts. However, in recent Chinese history, there are still people who study martial arts, and their legacy may be expanded into tradition or quietly respected with no recognition or publicity. However, the greatest warriors serve the people and the country. Martial arts is not just about fighting, it primarily exists in oneself. Everyone can become a warrior. Everyone can be a hero to the people around them. This is determined by one's determination. Soon, I will be shooting a movie myself, and it will be about the legacy of a warrior of recent times. It will be called Huo Yuanjia. Yi Lingchen was from the arts stream, and he naturally studied history. He had long read the history books, and Huo Yuanjia was a figure that gave him a very deep impression. The textbooks did not say much about Huo Yuanjia. It only spoke briefly about his time fighting the Japanese, and studied martial arts. His fate was that he was a hero that was killed by Westerners in a battle, and the details were unclear. Therefore, not many people knew about Huo Yuanjia. Due to Yi Lingchen's interest in Huo Yuanjia's martial training, he had taken the time to find reference books about the matter as well as folklore. Only then did he know about Huo Yuanjia's story. He was a hero that made the Westerners acknowledge Chinese Kung Fu. He was the one that preserved a shred of national dignity for the Chinese. History could not forget. Perhaps he should let more people be aware of this folk hero. As soon as he posted those words, Yi Lingchen's Weibo sunk into a short silence. Following that, like an avalanche, it reached a boiling point. The greatest warriors serve the people and the country. Everyone can be a hero to the people around them. Wow, I got goosebumps. Who didn't get them? My blood boiled, and I nearly picked up a weapon to cross the sea to pick a fight with the little nation of the Sun One. I was just in class, and the teacher came over to confiscate my phone. Without a word, I suplexed him into the ground. Do you guys respect me yet? I won't say much more. I need to write a letter of reflection. Huo Yuanjia? Isn't this the name of a person? I'm looking forward to it. Just based on this sentence, I have to watch it. I only don't know if Y will star in it. A pebble caused 1,000 ripples. Yi Lingchen's Weibo not only made the large part of the audience reach a boiling point, even the entertainment industry started to stir. Shi Lei could not help but smile, and his eyes had a condescending air about them. This Y is too naive. thinking he could just shoot a movie by himself? He could not even take such a bit of poking. Was he going to learn how to shoot a movie by himself? Director, screenwriter, actor. He has nothing, how would he do it? Stupid, how stupid. When he embarrassed himself, Shi Lei would have to take the opportunity to laugh at him. In his joy, he could not help but reply to Yi Lingchen's post, "I hope our movies premiere at the same time, and we can compare them. Hopefully, someone will know their place." Yi Lingchen replied, "I hope so too." At the same time, Xiao Feifei was paying close attention to what happened. She paused when she saw Yi Lingchen's Weibo, and a flash of displeasure crossed her face. Was this not an empty boast? Hasty, too hasty. Sister Lin could not stop shaking her head. He doesn't have a cast or preparations, and he wants to compete for movies with Shi Lei. What kind of fantasy is that? Sister Lin, Lingchen is young. It's unavoidable that he would think he's indestructible. Xiao Feifei felt helpless herself. She took up her cell phone. She hesitated a few times over whether she should call Yi Lingchen. It can't be helped, I'll star as the female lead in his movie. Xiao Feifei was the queen of TV series and had never starred in a movie. If she were to advance to the silver screens, your debut role would be extremely important. It may even determine her position in the film industry. For her to sacrifice it for Yi Lingchen was an extremely unreasonable decision. However, she could feel Yi Lingchen's determination, and she did not speak up to advise him otherwise. Li Tai on the other hand immediately called Yi Lingchen. "Brother Yi, you want to shoot a movie? Do you need my help? I know a lot of movie directors, we can get in contact and discuss it." Director Li, "Right now I only have a skeleton plan, and I am looking for an opportunity to carry our castings. Casting will not be an issue. Our series will be making casting auditions soon. There will be a great many people coming to apply for extras and other such roles. When you're free you should come and take a look." "That's great, thank you, Director Li." "You're welcome. But when you make it big next time, don't you ever forget me." "Of course." Li Tai was discreet enough to not ask Yi Lingchen about sensitive questions such as the script. He only offered help wherever it was needed. Wu Yang was the director of I Am a Hero, in which Shi Lei starred in. He too was paying close attention to the matter. Other cinematographers and editors were there as well. When they saw Yi Lingchen's Weibo, they could not help but laugh cynically. He really is a greenhorn. Does he think that shooting a movie is easy? A fresh initiate who doesn't know anything. Even if he shoots a movie, will any cinemas allow it to be screened? Huo Yuanjia. What kind of joke is this? Just based off of the name you know it's going to be bad. Even if it can premiere, the showings will be pitifully little, he'll make a huge loss. This Y has gotten a big head, just a few days of fame and he doesn't know his place, how funny. Other such similar comments were popping up all over the place. In the entertainment industry, not many people looked up to Yi Lingchen. Especially since this was not some child's play. Yi Lingchen's Weibo was incredibly naive in their eyes. Yi Lingchen had no time to pay them heed. Shi Lei was using him to gain popularity, and he was not going to give Shi Lei any more help to boost his popularity. After some time, under Yi Lingchen's anxious gaze, his popularity score finally broke the 100,000 mark and had even achieved 118,735. He could finally ascend one of his proficiencies. Yi Lingchen took a deep breath, and could not help but feel a sense of trepidation. The more he knew the benefits of ascending a proficiency, the more anxious he felt. Strangely, there was also a sense of excitement. Well, he should begin. Following a few proficiency ascensions, the number of proficiencies that Yi Lingchen had at 100% were fewer than before. There were only 4 left: 8 extremities fist, martial body fist, Dota, and English. It seemed that he should go and expand his knowledge, and increase the number of 100% proficiencies that he had. To be honest, he hoped that he could gain more knowledge of martial arts. He had seen the strengths of Arhat fist and did not know whether there were proficiencies such as levity and inner strength. As he kept thinking about it, he could not help but grin. He was going to ascend to the heavens. 4 proficiencies, well, begin. The yellow orb began to jump around in Yi Lingchen's vision, and finally, landed on English. Following a flash of golden light, the English proficiency disappeared, and was replaced with another one-bird language, beginner. Yi Lingchen's eyes popped up. Did this mean that to the system, English was a bird language? What was referred to as bird language generally referred to commonly seen birds, such as sparrows, magpies, and woodpeckers. Eagles, peacocks and the like are not included. Beginner bird language allowed Yi Lingchen to understand the language of birds. However, he could only understand it, and not communicate. When he reached the intermediate level, he could use bird language to communicate with birds. When he reached the advanced level, then it would be impressive, as he would be the friend of the birds, and could even give them commands. That was too cool, he would become the man who was king of the birds. He could not help but gaze at an electric pole. At this time, there are a few sparrows chittering and calling. "Ah, you're really beautiful, be my mate, go away, you poor good for nothing, I want to be the mate of the bird king. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west, don't look down at a bird for being poor." Yi Lingchen could not help but shake his head in understanding. It seemed that no matter where one was, stories of love and war were all the same. He had just gained a new skill, and he heard the love story of the birds for an entire morning. He returned to the campus and prepared for his afternoon classes. At the same time, in the Beijing Warriors Department, a large amount of warriors had gathered, their expressions stern. Their facial expressions were a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Today was the selection day for the various district departments of the capital. Those who proved themselves would get the opportunity to join the 4 specialist training camps. On the viewing platform sat 4 men. From left to right, they represented the Pale Wolf, Dragon, Wild Tiger, and Hawk training camps. These 4 men were the examiners for today. Their faces were stern, radiating heat. Their eyes seemed to gleam with light. Their aura was awe-inspiring, and they looked terrifyingly fierce. On their shoulders rested 3 orange stars. This signified that they were the senior guardians among the ranks of guardians. At this time every year, the 4 specialist training camps would send people out to each major city to carry out selections. These 4 men inspected the names on the lists in their hands, reading each name one by one. Beijing is the capital of the Chinese, and the district departments were exceedingly numerous. The number of candidates for selection today was 10,000 people. Of the 10,000, each of them was the most outstanding in their district. However, out of these 10,000, only 200 will be selected for specialist training. Other than the 10,000 in attendance today, there were numerous other warriors here to observe. At that moment, the 4 men on the viewing platform frowned at the same time, their faces showing their suspicion and displeasure. Fang Hong, front and center. The examiner of the Dragon Specialist Camp was an old man over 50, and he had suddenly shouted. His name was Qin Baichuan, he had short salt and pepper hair. His face was lean, and his eyes were slightly sunken. Fang Hong took 3 steps forwards and roared, "Here! How many men in your district warrior department?" Qin Baichuan asked gravely. "Sir, 15 men. And how many men have you recommended?" Qin Baichuan's facial features grew darker. "Sir, 15 men." With each question and answer, it caused the bystanders to immediately change their facial expressions, and they discussed it endlessly. Is this fellow mad, recommending his entire troop? What ploy is this? He must be mad. Does he no longer want his position as an instructor, to play a prank on his superior officer? The selection examinations were unlike any other. Generally, one would pick the most capable out of each district, and allow them to participate. If there were too many capable men, and they both were confident, a district could let 2 men participate. There had never been anyone who had acted like Fang Hong, who sent all the men in his district. This was a selection, not a Sunday market. One had to know that the results of the selection tests will reflect on the records of the individual district instructors. If the results were too poor, that instructor will face censure. What is the meaning of this? Qin Baichuan glared at Fang Hong. Fang Hong returned Qin Baichuan's gaze. He was confident, and it reflected in his voice. "Sir, I think my warriors are all qualified to take part in this selection." Everybody was shocked into silence, and they looked at each other. They could sense the surprise in everyone's eyes. "You are aware of the consequences? I'll give you one more chance when you've thought it through. Tell me your choice." Qin Baichuan continued to ask. "I am aware of the consequences, but I have faith in my men," Fang Hong bellowed back. At this moment, Lin Ao walked out from the troop. He was originally here just to observe the selections. "Mr. Qin, I can vouch for Mr. Fang. His 15 warriors are all worthy of participating in this selection." Lin Ao held his head high and kept his gaze fixed on Qin Baichuan. "Lin Ao, on what basis do you vouch for him?" Qin Baichuan frowned. He was the instructor when Lin Ao was at the Dragon training camp. Because when they were training, I was there, I witnessed their passion. Lin Ao's back was straighter than a pole, and his eyes flashed. Qin Baichuan traded looks with Lin Ao for a long amount of time, before turning to Fang Hong, before he slowly opened his mouth. Stand your men forward. Fang Hong immediately roared, troop, step forward. Bang bang. In perfect time, the 15 men stepped forward as one man, in perfect synchronization. Each of them was like javelins, entering into the gaze of each man. At this moment, even Qin Baichuan could not help but let his face turn solemn. Not only him, but the other 3 men on the viewing platform also showed some degree of shock. Oftentimes, the strength of a man did not come from his body, but more so from his heart. The body only represented the present, but the heart represented the future. From these 15 men, it was clear that they were the hope of the future for the warriors. When these 15 men stepped forward, the looks of doubt that were cast previously immediately evaporated. The other warriors all felt a heavy pressure. Are you all sure you want to participate? Qin Baichuan asked in confirmation. We are. The faces of the 15 men were flushed red, their necks strained. Their voices merged to form a rumble like thunder that rose towards the sky. Very well, I will allow it. Those words opened the curtains to an unprecedented scene. In Chinese, anything that is to do with bird can be a euphemism for the penis. It carries a negative connotation of pointlessness or uselessness in this context. To allow an entire district of warriors to partake in the trials at the same time was insane conduct for an instructor. That was because there must be a limit to the cream of the crop in the warriors. It just was not possible for every man in the entire district to be extremely capable. To let those who did not show good results to participate and then lag behind would only tarnish one's image. However, Fang Hong did just that with full confidence. The trial grounds were located on an empty and wide space. There were 3 trials. First was the obstacle course. The second, marksmanship, followed by thirdly, martial body fist. These 3 trials were one after the other, with no rest in between. After the obstacle course one had to proceed directly to marksmanship, and then martial body fist. There were 10 competition facilities, and each of them could contain 10 competitors. That was to say that at the same time 100 people could compete. As the selections began, the first batch of 100 men rushed forwards like cheetahs. For these selections, all of them had gone through countless hours of training. Every movement in their body was honed to the point of instinct. Every batch was extremely fast. The average time for the obstacle course was 3 minutes. The average time of marksmanship was 40 seconds, and for martial body fist, 3.5 minutes. When the first batch began the martial body fist, the second batch started on the obstacle course. Everything moved in order. It's almost your turn. How do you feel? Nervous? Fang Hong looked at the warriors in his troop and asked with a smile. Wu Yu scratched his head. Instructor Fang, a little, just a little. Instructor Fang, we're just afraid of embarrassing you, another one said. Keep relaxed and draw out the strength that you usually have, and you will not shame me, Fang Hong said nonchalantly. Yeah, didn't you set that man as your goal? Think more about him, Lin Ao said at the side. When that person was brought up, everyone grew solemn. Their faces slowly took on a steely determination. In their minds, they all thought of that person's silhouette. If he were here, they thought that he would shock the entire venue. Obstacle course? Marksmanship? Martial body fist? To that person, were they really trials? At the same time, they clenched their fists at the thought of that person staying. Next batch, get ready, the PA system announced. Wu Yu's face sank, and he traded looks with his troop mates before stepping forward slowly. Begin! Boom! In the blink of an eye, Wu Yu was out the gates, fast as a cheetah. At the very beginning, he had already outrun the rest of the group by half a meter, and this difference only grew as he went forward. All the obstacles before him were no longer obstacles in his eyes. At this moment, he thought he could see a silhouette. The youth's silhouette was in front of him, constantly passing through the obstacles with ease, his speed greater than his. Just a little bit, still just a little bit less, he definitely can catch up to him. He will become the man who is king of all soldiers. He's fast. The observing warriors were all shocked. The warriors in the same batch as Wu Yu were stunned as well. This is. On the viewing platform, the 4 men of the specialist training camps had all stood, their gazes electrifying. Their eyes were afire in shock and excitement. This man is a rare talent. This man, the Pale Wolf wants him. No, This man should belong to the dragon, Bullshit. He's like a tiger, he should belong to the tigers. Bang bang bang. The shooting course had begun. 10 shots sounded out, without a single pause in between. Wu Yu had forgotten himself. The youth's silhouette had not stopped when shooting, he could not stop as well. Oh God, he's gone mad, shooting 10 in a row like that. This is a trial. Has he given up? Holy **T. The results are out of the 10 shots. 8 are in the bullseye and 2 are in the 9th circle. This man wants to reach the heavens. After that, was the martial body fist. Wu Yu's movements however slowed. His facial expressions were focused, and he was meticulous. However, every single movement had to be perfect. His actions are stable, without any rush. Ha ha ha, very good indeed. Qin Baichuan roared in laughter. Next batch. Before the onlookers could snap out of their awe, the next batch had begun. Instructor Fang, we're going. Fang Hong's troop and the other warriors stepped forwards. Begin. This. Everybody could no longer speak. Their faces were stunned, as though they were sleepwalking. They're fast. Why is this batch of people so impressive? Is this madness? Whose troop do they belong to? I think they're from Fang Hong's troop. Previously that freak Wu Yu was the same, a total of 15 men. This is too much. The 15 men had completed the trials with a surprising speed. Until the end of the trials, the audience did not snap out of their surprise. On the viewing platform, the 4 instructors had stood there for half a day without realizing it, their expressions conflicted. At 7 in the evening, the trials ended. Fall in. Attention, sir, the trials have concluded. Wait. Qin Baichuan had interjected, and all eyes fell on him. Fang Hong, stand forward with your troop. Qin Baichuan looked at Fang Hong, report their results first. Fang Hong and his 15 men's faces were composed. They stepped forward and stood as straight as rods. Wu Yu, obstacle course, 89 seconds, first place. Marksmanship score 98, 15th place. Martial body fist, distinction, aggregate score, first place. Shish. The entire audience gasped. 89 seconds. I remember during the specialist trials the record was 93 seconds, is this a record breaker? This is too impressive, there will be another legend in the Warriors department in the future. Is this real? How is he so fast? Qin Baichuan looked at Wu Yu in satisfaction, and spoke neutrally, continue. Yu Chong, obstacle course, 105 seconds, 16th place. Marksmanship score 98, 15th place. Martial body fist, distinction, aggregate score, 20th place. Tian Feng, obstacle course, 107 seconds, 23rd place, marksmanship. Of the 15 men, everybody was awed at each result report. Until the end of the reports, every man felt that their pulses quickened and their blood boil. Every single one of them passed. All the warriors in a district had all passed the trials. The worst performer was ranked at 182nd place and was still in the first 200. This was unprecedented. In the past, this would be unthinkable. Qin Baichuan roared in laughter, and looked at Fang Hong. Fang Hong, you're truly capable, keeping secret such a great training method. Tell us how you did it, and I'll give you an award. Sir, I don't have a special training method. Fang Hong shook his head and smiled bitterly. Chun Beijing frowned slightly, and he did not dare to believe it. He pointed at Fang Hong, and smiled as he chided him, you little brat, keeping your secrets. Wu Yu, speak. How did your instructor train you? Wu Yu looked uncomfortable, and he frowned. It was as though he was not happy he had gotten first place. Wu Yu was distracted for a moment and his muttering was picked up by Qin Baichuan's ears. You can't beat him. Wu Yu, what did you mean? Qin Baichuan's question alerted Wu Yu, snapping him out of his daze. You have a target? Not only Qin Baichuan, but the others were similarly surprised. This guy had just broken the record. What else could he be aiming for? What kind of person is this? Yes, Chief. Wu Yu's face was serious, replying in a strong voice, truth be told, before I met that person, my fastest record of clearing the obstacle course was 120 seconds. Just moments ago, my head was filled with the silhouette of that person. He was just in front of me. I was chasing after him every step of the way, but I still lost. Was that for real? Everyone was skeptical, feeling as though they were listening to some fictional story. Is what you said real? Qin Baichuan and the other upper-class guardians' expressions turned serious. Absolutely, Fang Hong. Was there such a person? Qin Baichuan looked towards Fang Hong. Fang Hong nodded, then let out a long sigh and lamented, that person is no ordinary human. After a moment's pause, he continued, it was due to this person's appearance that I dared to have all the martial artists in my division to take part in this assessment. It was him that motivated all 15 of them, reawakening the passion in their hearts. Indeed, I can sense the passion within the 15 of them that is not found in the rest, Qin Baichuan replied with a nod. That person is very strong. Unbelievably strong. Even Fang Hong was at a loss of words to describe Yi Lingchen's prowess. Simply put, if he was here, all those records would be a thing of the past. Chief Chen, to be honest, my past training regime was mechanical and it could be considered as wasting time. It was because of this person's appearance that brought out the motivation in me to aim for perfection. Not to brag, but if it was normal shooting conditions, all 10 shots would hit the 10-point ring. However, even if that person had fired continuously, he would still hit 10 points for all 10 shots. Hence I must strive towards him as my goal. I no longer do this for the assessment, but to work towards a higher goal. Wu Yu delivered his response in a firm voice. Excellent, Qin Baichuan praised. He looked down from the observation platform and announced clearly, do you know what's the most important thing for a martial artist? It's not the combat prowess, but your soul. It's the mental state of a person, which we can also call it as a warrior's soul. Only with a strong warrior's soul would you improve. Why would the 15 of them perform so well? That's because they have seen something much higher, and they're striving towards it. This is the strength they gained from their warrior's soul. That's why, I hope that no matter what you achieve in the future, you must not grow complacent. You must always strive for improvement. Everyone's faces were flushed. All as one, they gave out a passionate roar, yes sir. Qin Baichuan once again looked at Wu Yu. Oh right, when you were having your assessment, what was it you were mumbling back there? Chief Qin, it was this. Fang Hong took out his phone. These words were already their motto. The more you sweat, the less you bleed. Remember your dreams to finish? Qin Baichuan read it out, his eyes glowing suddenly. Great words. Frame these quotes and send it to every division. Let everyone follow them. Why did you not invite such a person to the warriors department? Qin Baichuan was excited. He finally saw how Fang Hong's team had changed because of that person. That person could be named as the god of war or soul of the battle. Chief Qin, I too wished for him to join the warriors department, but he was unwilling. Fang Hong spread his arms, showing his anxiety too. Unwilling, Qin Baichuan and the 3 other upper-class guardians felt anger boiling from within, pointing at Fang Hong furiously at a loss for words. You stopped inviting him just because he was unwilling. How can you be so stupid? Start by offering him a lower-class warrior position. Even a middle or upper-class warrior position is fine. Qin Baichuan said in a hurry. Do you have his contact? Go send him the invitation quickly. I didn't contact him, but I know that Lin Ao and him are friends. Fang Hong sold Lin Ao out by passing the ball to him without any hesitation. Lin Ao's face turned dark immediately. He was just an observer from the sidelines but got instantly dragged into the mess. Lin Ao, is he your friend? Yes. Lin Ao answered with a bitter face. Then you go to invite him. Our special training camps will be having a special joint training soon. You bring him over. But Chief Qin, do you understand the inviolable nature of a military order? Lin Ao, at that time, below the observation platform, countless martial artists were looking up at the observation platform with mixed feelings. Although they did not hear the conversation on the platform clearly, it was clear from Wu Yu's words earlier that he had a target. It was because of this target that he could reach such heights. Who was that person? How strong was he? Countless people looked up to him in their hearts. Within the crowd, a young man stood tall with a face expressing the vigor of youth. His eyes locked on the group of people on the observation platform. An intense flame was burning deep in his eyes. That person was Maniac Chu. Wu Yu and Qin Baichuan's exchange resonated strongly within him. In his mind, there was also a target. It was that young man that defeated him easily with just 2 kicks. It was because of that humiliation that he strove so hard to enter the warriors department. He needed to change. He wanted to defeat that young man. However, at that moment, he felt his blood boiling and the young man's figure in his mind had begun to fade away. Yes, a martial artist needed a heart that always strived for improvement. That person was but just a passing guest in my life. Even though he is stronger than me at the moment, I have already joined the Warriors department. Defeating him is an eventuality. When I'm done with training, I will go back and defeat him. As for now, he needed to surpass that young man and look further. There were bigger goals for him to complete. With that, he started walking forward. At that time, the results were finalized and the assessment ended. Maniac Chu went up to Fang Hong and Wu Yu. With a sincere and passionate expression, he requested, "Chief Fang, Chief Wu, please guide me on my training." Fang Hong and Wu Yu traded looks. A flash crossed their eyes. This person's mental state had good potential to be sculpted into a martial artist. Fang Hong smiled, then asked, "Why do you want to train with us?" "Because I too have a target in my heart. I must defeat him." Furthermore, he tightened his fist, filled with fighting spirit. "I want to grow stronger. I want to stand proud as a martial artist for our country so that outsiders wouldn't dare look down on us." Fang Hong nodded, "You have high spirits. However, our training is very taxing. I'm not afraid. When I go back, I, Maniac Chu, will clear my humiliation." Another weekend began. However, that weekend was different from the previous ones. Most of the students went out of their dorms instead of lying in bed, playing games in their rooms, ordering takeout, or shopping with their girlfriends. The reason for that was the basketball competition had begun. "Yeezy, let's go. Let's cheer for Little General together," Potato invited. "Not only Little Gen, we need to cheer for the entire language department," Shang corrected him. Both of them were excited and filled with fighting spirit. That atmosphere had eventually got to Yi Lingchen, bringing a smile to his face. Ever since he obtained the Prodigy system, he was destined to be different from others. Reality was exactly that. The events he experienced recently was nigh impossible for an average person. Only when he spends time with his roommates will he truly feel like a student. The three of them were talking and laughing as they headed over to the field that was already filled with people. Boys and girls were similarly excited, watching and discussing the matches by the side. The court was on the eastern half of the field, split up to 6 courts, allowing up to 12 teams to compete at the same time. The team matchups were decided by drawing lots. The competition was then separated into 2 halves. The first half and second half for 30 minutes each with a 15 minutes break in between. Saturday 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. would be the first round of preliminary matches. 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. would be the second round. Saturday 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. would be the third round, 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. would be the fourth round. 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. would then be the repechage match. On Sunday morning there would be another match following the preliminaries, then the afternoon would be the quarter-finals, semi-finals and finals matches. The competition would go on for 2 days. Although the timing seemed rushed, the arrangement was still acceptable. Although the language department was mostly liberal arts students with the male students not being the majority, they were rather lucky this time around. Several students were tall with passable basketball skills. That brought forth some unprecedented passion for the competition within the department. "Yeezy, you're here too." Quite a few people were already in the court. Little Jen was also among the crowd, wearing a white basketball jersey. Seeing Yi Lingchen's arrival, quite a few students had a friendly smile on their faces. Due to the martial training incident, Yi Lingchen had left a strong impression within them. "Little Jen, I didn't expect you to look that good in your basketball jersey." Yi Lingchen jested, "Are you ready? The results of the draw are out. We're in the second batch of preliminary matches." Little General replied. After a moment's pause, he said in a serious voice, "The sports department is in the first batch." Sports department? Yi Lingchen's brows twitched. Needless to say, with them coming from the sports department, they were an extremely tough opponent. The sports department has almost always won first place in the university basketball competition. Granted, the students they scout for are all talented athletes with good physique, Potato added. TCH, our language department is not that bad either. I heard a lot of them took part in basketball competitions in high school too. Their skills are not bad, said Shang begrudgingly. That's right. This time our language department will clear our bad name, at least. Not end up in the last place, a girl chimed in. She had short hair, a round face and looked cute. Her name was Gao Wen. However, those that were close to her would know that Gao Wen was an extrovert, a very active person. She volunteered herself to be the class sports committee. The language department had always performed rather poorly in sports. For once they managed to recruit some good athletes. It would be a real shame if they did not manage to get a good result. That's right. Putting first place aside, it's very likely for us to get into the top 10, said a senior. Pushing the glasses sitting on his nose, he started to analyze the situation. In last year's basketball competition, our department took the 13th place. This time, we have quite a few good players coming from our freshmen. If we replaced 3 players from last year's basketball team with these people, our placement should have a drastic improvement. Speaking of good players, he continued, you students from this year's intake or something. I heard there was even one that defeated the martial training instructor. That's just legendary. I'm guessing he came from some martial artist family. Those hidden kung fu masters are really scary. The students from his class tacitly shifted their gaze onto Yi Lingchen, looking at him awkwardly. Right at that moment, a commotion started in the field. A group of students in basketball jerseys entered the field. The crowd cleared a path for them to pass through. The players are entering the court. It's now 7:50 a.m. There are only 10 more minutes until the match begins, someone exclaimed in an excited tone. Those in black basketball jerseys are from the sports department, Little General said in a serious tone as he looked towards one direction. Following Little Jen's gaze, Yi Lingchen's brows frowned slightly. The sports department was just like how legend has it. They were all tall and well built, all of them over 180 centimeters. In their black jerseys, their thick arms and shoulders were fully exposed, giving off an intimidating aura to the others. That type of physique would allow them to wipe the floor with any normal team. It was no wonder they had always placed first. Of course, that was not the main point. The main point was Yi Lingchen seeing Yi Yuan in the sports department's team. His build was not as bulky as the others, but it was well balanced. Through the thin jersey, one can vaguely see the contours of his six-packs. That handsome face carried a hint of a devilish smile, immediately starting a wave of screams from the girls. Ah, the people in the sports department are so handsome. I want a boyfriend from the sports department. Each of them have maximum boyfriend potential. Yi Yuan, all the best, I want to have your kids. All the best, sports department, I love you. Needless to say, the sports department had thousands of fans, immediately drowning out the cheers of other departments. At that moment, the entire court was seemingly dominated by the sports department. Yi Yuan was accustomed to such situations, raising his hand and waved at the crowd, which in turn brought about another round of screams. At that time, his gaze stopped for a moment as he saw Yi Lingchen's figure in the crowd. The corner of his mouth curled into a mocking smile with a cold gleam flashing through his eyes. Damn it, it's Yi Yuan again. Potato and the rest had naturally noticed Yi Yuan, silently cursing their bad luck. Yi Yuan's skills are good. Although he is not the tallest, he managed to be the sports department's team leader. Little Jen's brows were lined with worry. I've watched him play previously. Regardless of dribbles, jumping power, explosiveness, and speed, they are all extremely polished. Little Jen, don't be afraid. I believe in you. Defeat him. Shang cheered for Little General. After the players entered the court, it was time for warm-ups. The sports department was matched with the music department. Just from the department name, one could tell it was a joke played by the heavens. The music department was destined to be fodder. The music department was wearing orange jerseys. Each of their players looked bitter and helpless, obviously having no confidence in themselves. The match begins. The referee threw the ball in the air. Yi Yuan leapt with amazing jumping power, easily getting the ball. He immediately followed with a dribble, break, turnaround, followed by a 3-step layup. Score. From the start of the game, everything was smoothly carried out. His cool movements and the dashing way he scored sent Yi Yuan's fans into a frenzy. Their faces were all flushed from the excitement. Yi Yuan, you're the best. Yi Yuan looks the best. Yi Yuan, win the match. On the court, a group of cheerleaders in skimpy dresses appeared, with dazzling pom-poms in their hands, cheering away. Are these girls blind? To think they would like that animal in disguise? Shang said with an envious look. Brain-dead fans. Potato added with a pout. It was inevitable since the start of the match. The music department's morale dropped to an all-time low while the sports department was like a cat toying with a rat, casually mopping the floor with them. In the first half, the results were 10-80. In the second half, the results were 16-192. A complete victory for the sports department. Next was the language department. It's about time. "I'll head over first," said Little General. "Little Gen, do your best," cheered the students from his class. Gao Wen said to the team, "Don't get nervous on the court. Just play as usual, all the best." After some simple warm-ups, the competition began. Language Department versus Biology Department. Brother Nan, all the best. Beast, go get them. Skinny Monkey, don't be a coward, just do it. Son, don't embarrass me. Go. At that moment, a fierce battle ensued. Both departments were shouting and cheering with nervous looks on their faces. However, weird nicknames were called out at the same time. Although Little Gen was not strong, he was born tall. With that height advantage, he was known as the King of Rebound. He was the team's defense, securing the backboard. Passing, stealing, dribbling, and charging through. A series of maneuvers filled the stadium with excitement and caused their hearts to pump faster. Pass the ball. This is not a solo show, pass it quickly. FCK. How did they block that? What the heck? That was such a good chance and he didn't score. My god, a three-pointer. Amazing. Judge, that guy hit his hand. It's a foul. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter, to think he would be walking. On the court, all sorts of noises were flooding in, fully displaying the passionate youth of the students. At the same time, although Yi Lingchen was only casually observing from the side, there was the occasional proficiency boost. Inspiration gained from observing basketball competition. Ball techniques proficiency +1 foot. Inspiration gained from observing basketball competition. Ball techniques proficiency +1 foot. Inspiration gained from observing basketball competition. Ball techniques proficiency +1 foot. Although the speed of proficiency gain was slow compared to learning or self-studying, it was self-generated. Bit by bit, it accumulated to quite a decent amount. Furthermore, it was not limited to proficiency in basketball techniques, but ball-related techniques in general. In other words, soccer and ping pong were included in this ball mastery skill. Finally, the first half came to an end. The results were 63-52, with the language department in the lead. Students from the language department had an immediate morale boost, eagerly bringing over the water they had long prepared for the players. Good job. Let's keep this up for the second half. Yi Lingchen and the rest had walked towards Little Gen as well. Little Gen, not bad. I've kept tabs for you. You've caught 13 rebounds, successfully blocked 3 times, and scored 6 points. Little Gen, come drink some water, can you continue? On the other side, students from the biology department were similarly surrounding the players of their department. It's okay, the score gap isn't too far apart, we still have a chance in the second half. This term's students from the language department are way better than the previous terms. Their basketball skills are quite decent. Can your stamina last? If you can't, we'll request a change of players. Don't overexert yourselves. The second half began. The competition once again turned into a fierce fight between the teams. Although the biology department and language department had nothing to do with sports, the teams were surprisingly good at basketball. That led to them being the highlight of the second batch of the competition, causing even the other classes to come over. Right then, there was a commotion in the crowd. The sports department's player in black jerseys slowly pushed into the crowd. They too were watching the competition, but their faces were filled with contempt. Their appearance brought a change to the court's atmosphere, turning it awkward. The second half had finally concluded. 102-93, a close call for the language department. The entire language department erupted in loud cheers with a look of excitement in everyone's faces. However, with He Yuan at the front, he led the sports department players into the court in stride. The language department immediately felt the provocation of their opponents, losing the smile on their faces. Their basketball team similarly went forward to meet them. Hee, that surely was a surprise. I didn't think your team of rookies would win, said a sports department player with a sneer. What did you mean? Someone immediately retorted. The face of many students around them turned dark in an instant. Consider yourself lucky. If we were your opponents, you would have lost badly. FCK your sister. What's this nonsense? The victor is not decided yet, Little General argued. Hee, just you guys. He Yuan was gloating, you better pray hard. The moment you meet us is when your competition ends. Mind your words. Although Gao Wen was a girl, she was no coward, we are all students. Friendship first, competition comes after. If you cross the line, I will report you to the school authorities. Friendship? He Yuan shook his head. We are no friends with the trash from the language department. Just wait for your loss. FCK. A bunch of bronze without brains. FCKU. One of the language department's players could not hold back any longer and tried to fight. Unfortunately, although he was big-sized, he was not as heavily built compared to the sports department. He was pushed back instantly by a fatty, almost dropping him to the ground. What's wrong with calling you trash? You want to fight? Come if you dare. Gao Wen placed herself in between the teams, urging them, calm down guys, you still have a competition tomorrow. Go get yourselves ready. HMPH, see you in court. He Yuan swept a glance at Yi Lingchen, his eyes filled with provocation. Finishing his statement, he led the team away. This incident immediately turned into a hot topic in the university, becoming a hot popular topic of debate for many. Have you heard? The sports department and language departments are going at it. Both sides hated the other and almost started a fight. That's the biggest news in our university. I've even heard that all this started because someone from the language department stole Li Mushui. He Yuan is seeking revenge. You don't say, that guy is a legend in our university. He'd even slept with Li Mushui. How can the language department compete with the sports department in basketball? I guess they will be floored in the court. Whatever it is, we'll have some good drama to watch. Faced with taunts from the sports department, the entire language department was filled with a gloomy atmosphere. Their expressions were dark. Gao Wen forced a laugh, trying to brighten the mood. Don't look so tense guys. We just won the preliminaries. This calls for a celebration. When we meet the sports department's team on the court, we must teach them a lesson. That's right. We must teach those arrogant SSHOLES a lesson. Let's go look for a place to train this afternoon. I won't feel at peace if we don't defeat those animals from the sports department. I'm coming along, count me in. What's so great about the sports department? They're awesome just because they're good with basketball? Come compete with us in literature if you dare. Potato was still venting out his frustrations along the way. That's right. They should organize a poem composition competition and we will beat the shit out of them, Shang chimed in. They are obviously picking on me, trying to vent on the entire language department. Yi Lingchen said with a frown. Yeezy, don't say that. We all know what kind of person Yi Yuan is. We hate him anyways. Little General interjected. Relax. I refuse to believe that our department will lose to the sports department in basketball. That afternoon, the language department's basketball team found a spot nearby the university and practiced for the entire afternoon. Everyone was holding in that grudge, ready to have a go with the sports department. The next day, the basketball competition started. As usual, the matchups were decided from drawing lots. Language department versus chemistry department, 113-97. The language department was victorious. Sports department versus biology department, 137-83. The sports department was victorious. The language department and the sports department managed to make it into the semifinals. There were a total of 12 departments that made it into the semifinals. As before, the matchup was decided by drawing lots. As everyone was waiting anxiously, Little General ran back towards them. How is it? Who are we up against? Gao Wen asked impatiently. The others were also staring at Little General nervously. If they could win this match, the language department would finally make it into the top 10, which would be the first time the language department making it into the list. It would be a moment worthy of the history books. If it's the mathematics or history department that would be better for us. Our class still has a decent chance to beat them. The engineering department is fine too. As long as we're not unlucky and get some crazy team, our chance of winning is still quite high. However, Little Jen's face was deathly serious. He took a deep breath before finally announcing, we're up against the sports department. Silence. Everyone's heart sank. It's fine. It's not that we can't beat the sports department. Just do your best. Gao Wen tried to cheer them up. That's right. I've always hated those people from the sports department. It's good that our chance to teach them a lesson came earlier. Meanwhile, two players in black jerseys from the sports department walked over with a contemptuous smile on their faces. It seems your luck has run out. The language department trying to get into the top 10? Dream on. This is as far as you go. We're the mountain you will never cross. Don't waste time with this trash. Let's get ready and show them who's boss. He Yuan was already at the court, shouting at the two players. Get ready. The match began. The ball was thrown up in the air by the referee. Little General and He Yuan were in the middle trying to gain possession of the ball. Both of them jumped at the same time, stretching their arms to gain control of the ball. It was unclear if it was intentional or not. He Yuan's body slanted towards Little Gen, his shoulders knocking into Little Gen's chest. Little General immediately hit the floor and took a few steps back before he could stabilize himself. The ball fell into He Yuan's hands. With a smile on his face, he started dribbling and charging forward. Meanwhile, the cheerleading team was making sexy poses, shouting cheers as though they were on steroids. He Yuan, all the best. He Yuan looks the best. He Yuan, win the match. Breaking through defenses, passing, then following up with a 3-step layup. The sports department leads with 2 points. FCK. He Yuan that B** starred as cheating right from the get-go. Is the referee blind? When the ball was served there was obviously physical contact. Are they doing to ignore that? Shameless. The crowd from the language department started cussing. On the other side of the court, 2 beautiful girls stood there. They were Li Mushui and Huang Xiaomeng. Huang Xiaomeng loved to join lively events and ended up dragging Li Mushui along. Ha ha ha, good job. Yi Lingchen that show off is finally getting his butt handed to him. Huang Xiaomeng cheered them on. Although He Yuan did not directly pick on Yi Lingchen, he could still make things difficult for the department that Yi Lingchen was in a way that helped her vent some of her frustrations. The referee is from the student council. He Yuan is the student council president. How can they not be biased? Li Mushui frowned, reflecting on her actions. It was my mistake to start with, causing all these troubles for Yi Lingchen. I never expected He Yuan to be that petty. Mushui, you mustn't think like that. That bugger forcefully kissed you and slandered your reputation. Reputation is very important for a girl. Huang Xiaomeng tried to persuade her, then added, he's indebted to you. We must seek revenge, ruthless revenge. By then, the competition was at its peak. With a score of 13-25, the language department was falling behind. The people from the sports department were big and tall. Furthermore, their strength, speed, and endurance were all better than the language department. The gap between them was only growing further apart. Finally, Little General caught the ball. He stood under the backboard with a delighted expression, raised his hands for a shot. His height was 190 centimeters. Standing under the backboard, shooting the ball was no different from placing the ball in the basket. It could be considered child's play. The title King of Rebound was not given in vain. However, just as the basketball almost left his palm, a shadowy figure suddenly leapt forward, blocking his path. Then, a pair of hands slammed downwards. Smack. Accompanying the clear sound of hands hitting, the ball flew away. At the same time, Little General fell to the ground from the forceful blow. Referee. Hand hitting. FCK. Foul. That's FC King intentional. However, the referee was indifferent. After the ball flew off, it was intercepted by the sports department's players. Without any hesitation, it quickly followed through and scored. The whistle sounded, the sports department once again scored 2 points. FCK. What's the meaning of this, insider referee? Putting the foul aside, how can that score count? FCK your mother, dumb SS referee. Their eyes were red with anger, seething with rage. Yi Lingchen immediately rushed forward to help Little General up, checking on him, are you okay? I'm fine. Little General rubbed his wrist. That hit earlier almost dislocated his hand. Furthermore, his entire hand was red from the hit. He Yuan gave a cruel smile at the group in the language department's corner, asking sarcastically, what, screaming at the top of your lungs? If you can't bear the loss then leave. Don't stay here and embarrass us. FCKU. Do you have any shame, student council president? Shameless president is more fitting? Corruption. This is the most corrupt referee. I'll report you to the university authorities. The competition continues. After the first time, He Yuan and the rest acted with impunity. Hitting hands, walking, the referee just ignored everything. Right then, He Yuan dribbled the ball towards the backboard. Little General blocked his path to intercept the ball, fully blocking him in. A ruthless gleam flashed through He Yuan's eyes. His body angled towards Little Gen with his shoulders directly crashing onto Little Gen's face. At the same time, his elbow struck out at Little Gen's chest. Little General made a muffled sound and fell back a few steps. Losing his balance, he then fell to the floor. His brows tightly knit together and his face looked ashen, clutching tightly at his chest. He Yuan did not even bat an eye at little Jen, dribbled, passed through, jumped and scored. The whistle sounded. The sports department scored 2 more points. F and CK. Are you blind? You're ignoring him for crashing into others and injuring them to this degree? Someone shouted. Unable to hold himself back, he rushed up to the referee to question him. He Yuan broke through his defense. That person fell on his own, don't slander others. The referee retorted confidently, then added coldly, if you disrespect me again, I'll revoke your right to compete. Your sister? You think you're a big shot just because you're some dog sh*t referee? We have this many people as witnesses, Potato roared. Are you the referee or am I the referee now? The referee scoffed. The first half has ended. Break for 15 minutes. The results for the first half were 39-93. The language department was behind by a huge margin. Everyone in the language department had an ugly look on their face. At the same time, other audiences too started noticing the foul play involved, but they could not do anything about it. The basketball competition was an activity run by the students, whereby the university authorities hardly concerned themselves with it as it was handled by the student council directly. That was why He Yuan dared to act with impunity. Little Jen, are you okay? Yi Lingchen asked while holding him up. It's fine, I think I sprained my ankle, he replied as he tried to move his foot. That motion brought a crease to his brows, causing him to gasp in pain. He Yuan's tackle was obviously unreserved and intentional. That B** starred. He's the spokesperson of shamelessness. Let's stop this match. What's the point? I'll find a chance and give He Yuan a good beating. Little Jen won't be able to take part in the second half. Let's send him to the infirmary. Right at that moment, Li Mushui came over with Huang Xiaomeng. Li Mushui looked at Yi Lingchen apologetically, then suggested, you should stop the match. In the second half, He Yuan might take it to another level. He dares. Worst case, I'll go all out on him. Someone grunted his frustrations. Everyone was suppressing the smoldering rage within them. He's the student council president after all. If you dare get physical with him, you will get demerits, Li Mushui continued to explain. So what if he's the student council president? What's the worst he could do? Chickening out? If you want to chicken out, then just leave. It'll save you the embarrassment of having your *SS handed to you. You're winning through underhanded means. What's there to boast about? Underhanded means? He Yuan scoffed, then looked at them condescendingly. You know why I'm picking on your guys? His eyes narrowed, then pointed a finger at Yi Lingchen. It's because of him, since he's a student of your language department. Then your entire department will have to bear the consequences of his actions. He Yuan then looked towards little Jen. Yes, I've hid you on purpose. What about it? You can only blame your luck. It's your fault that you're Yi Lingchen's roommate. FCKU. Cheating B** starred. Little General barked at He Yuan. You shouldn't hate me. The one you should hate is Yi Lingchen. He's the one to cross me first. He Yuan looked down on them as though the victor, then walked towards Yi Lingchen. Speaking calmly, I've told you before that I'm not one you can cross. Just you wait. I'll always keep you under my foot. Yi Lingchen remained calm. The He Yuan at that moment was nothing but a clown to him. He would not fight with a clown, but he would not let a clown dance all around him as he wished to. Yi Lingchen's eyes locked onto He Yuan, giving him a cold, icy look. Seems like it's time for me to show my real skills. What? Basketball? You all suck at it. Yi Lingchen waved him off. I don't mind educating you. With that statement, everyone was stunned. Was that boasting? Do you know what you're saying? He Yuan looked at Yi Lingchen as though it was all a joke. Have you played basketball before? Do you even know what a basketball is? Yi Lingchen stood there with hands behind his back, eyes calm as still water. At first, it was not worth my time to deal with you. However, with your constant provocations, I'll have to teach you how to be a proper human being. FCK. Are you addicted to bragging? He Yuan laughed at the ridiculous statements. Just who do you think you are? The crowd around them broke into discussions. Murmurs washed through the crowd as they looked at Yi Lingchen in surprise. Yi Lingchen was trying to compete with He Yuan in basketball? Stop your nonsense and leave. I'll see you in the second half of the match. Yi Lingchen waved him off as though shooing an annoying fly. Sure. I hope you don't run away then. Yi Lingchen, why are you so hot-headed? Once He Yuan had left, Gao Wen immediately walked up to him. The score gap in the first half is too big. Since we can't win this, there's no point to compete with a cheating team. That's right, Yeezy, we know that you're good at fighting, but basketball is not the same thing. There are competition rules. They can go against the rules, but we can't, Shang chimed in. Yeezy, let's just call this match off. That B** starred is trying to get at you. Once you're on the court, who knows what he might do to you, Potato stated worryingly. Yeezy, your bragging skills are really something to be able to aggravate He Yuan like that, but there's no need to continue this match. It's fine everybody, relax. I'm good at basketball. Yi Lingchen smiled, to be honest, I just didn't want to stoop to their level. To me, their skills are too crappy and I don't like to bully weaklings. For real? Everyone eyed him suspiciously. You guys just watch. Yi Lingchen looked towards Little Jen, give me your jersey and hurry over to the infirmary. Relax, I'll avenge you. However, Little General refused to go, obstinately wanting to watch Yi Lingchen's game. The second half of the match began. He Yuan looked at Yi Lingchen stepping into the court, an icy gleam flashed across his eyes. As the first half ended with the sports department scoring, the ball was served to the sports department. He Yuan took the ball, broke through defenses, then quickly ran towards the backboard. Along the way, he would tackle those who blocked him. To that, the referee closed an eye to such incidents. Because of that, he was unstoppable. The entire basketball court turned into his one-man show. That's just disregarding all the rules. How do you play against that? The people in the language department were upset. As the incident got escalated, other people started to join in the audience crowd. Most of them were just there for the drama. In their eyes, most of them had already considered the sports department as something to avoid, hence they were not surprised to witness such a phenomenon. Very soon, He Yuan was already under the backboard. He jumped, aimed and shot the ball while maintaining a dashing pose. This shot is a sure hit. A smile could be seen on his face, as though he could see Yi Lingchen's expression in despair. The ball left his hand, slowly soaring through the air towards the hoop. Everyone held their breath at that moment. However, a dark shadow appeared out of nowhere. Like a mountain, rising at an alarming speed. The figure raised his hand and intercepted the ball in the air, smacking it away. Bang! A loud thunderous voice echoed throughout the court, shaking everyone's eardrums. Such a beautiful block, it managed to daze a big proportion of the crowd for some time. OMG, He Yuan was blocked. This is the first time he was blocked, right? That was violent? It's no ordinary block. That was without a doubt the best block ever, almost a slap to his face. That fella sure has good jumping strength to be able to block Yi Yuan. Yeezy, wonderful block, amazing. The language department went up in cheers excitedly, greatly boosting their morale. He Yuan stood still for a long time, dazed and unable to believe the fact that he was blocked. How is that possible? He finally awoke from his daze after some time. He stared wildly at Yi Lingchen with disbelief in his eyes. There are plenty more impossible things to come. Yi Lingchen was composed, as though it were nothing. As the ball was sent out of court by Yi Lingchen, the sports department maintained the rights to serve. The match had just begun, but everyone could feel the intense animosity between them. Yi Lingchen's block left an even stronger impression in their hearts. Forget the defense. Just let him attempt to score, Yi Lingchen told the players from the language department. The opponents had no regard for the rules, making defending pointless. The ball was served, however, when Yi Yuan caught the ball, he was stunned. Not only him, but everyone else was stunned as well. On the court, not a single person was defending. The players from the language department's team just stood and watched from the side. The backboard was fully open, leaving him to take his shot. His expression turned ugly. Such disrespect was hundreds of times more hurtful than words. With a deep breath, he steeled his eyes. I will make sure you regret this. Dribbling and charging straight ahead, jump, and shoot. Nevertheless, the same scene happened again. A shadow figure leapt upwards. Bang! The sound was more resounding than earlier. The ball shot away, barely brushing by He Yuan's head. Yi Lingchen's eyes were emotionless, looking indifferently at He Yuan, speaking slowly, continue. The third time, Yi Lingchen weaved around like a spirit, easily going past his opponents. Bang! The third block sounded. Silence befell the entire court. The audience was stunned. He Yuan and his cheerleading team were stunned. Even the people from the language department were stunned. He Yuan stood under the hoop looking dispirited, his whole body trembling. Humiliation. Extreme humiliation. His eyes were red with a strong urge to take Yi Lingchen's life. Yi Lingchen had intentionally called off the defense just so that he could block him. Continue, Yi Lingchen urged. His steady voice caused Yi Yuan's body to tremble more severely. He was scared. Yi Lingchen's image in his mind increased countless times in size, turning into an insurmountable mountain. It broke his confidence from the depths of his soul. Yi Lingchen, you're crossing the line. I'll make you regret this, Yi Yuan shouted without a care for his image, behaving like a madman. He charged towards the hoop a fourth time. Yi Yuan did not choose to take a shot this time around, but instead ran to the bottom of the backboard for a three-step layup. He locked his eyes on the hoop. This time, it must score. However, without any warning, a huge shadow once again loomed over him, slamming the ball right out of Yi Yuan's hand. Bang! Yi Yuan was in midair, along with the ball, was smacked to the ground forcefully. His body slammed hard against the floor. Yi Yuan stood up with great difficulty. By then, his eyes lost focus and his forehead was drenched in a cold sweat as though he had suffered extreme psychological trauma. Nobody uttered a word during that exchange, or rather, they were at a loss for words. Yi Lingchen was too strong, monstrously strong. In front of Yi Lingchen, Yi Yuan was like a child that just learned how to walk. Continue, the same statement again, yet it sapped Yi Yuan of all his strength to lift the ball. In just a few attempts, he was already drenched in sweat, feeling more worn out than going through a full match. Substitution. You guys try to score. Yi Yuan finally blurted out that sentence after a long while. In his voice, one could tell he was on the verge of breaking down in tears. However, block, another block. No matter who it was, they had to face the risk of getting blocked by Yi Lingchen whenever they attempted a shot. Until the end, nobody in the sports department dared to make a shot even with the ball in their hands. The ball had turned into a hot potato, making them indecisive about whether to hold onto it or not. The crowd broke out in murmurs. That's just too epic. King of blocking? That's nuts. Competing with him in basketball is a form of torture. Pitiful, just too pitiful. The entire sports department was blocked by him. I can't bear to watch this anymore. This is going into the history books as the most embarrassing day for the sports department. Although there was still a huge gap between the scores, the sports department had been completely humiliated. All of them had been utterly defeated. Nobody dares to shoot anymore. Yi Lingchen gave a faint smile, then dashed towards one of the sports department's players. That player had the ball in his hand. When he saw Yi Lingchen rushing at him, his expression turned into one of shock. Just as he tried to pass the ball along, his hands felt empty. The ball was already taken by Yi Lingchen. Ball in hand, Yi Lingchen did not dribble, but instead jumped up and made a shot. Clunk! The ball went straight into the hoop. Amazing. Not only is he good at blocking, even his shots are amazing. That's a three-pointer. A long-distance three-pointer. Is that luck or skill? From the moment Yi Lingchen entered the court, everyone felt that their hearts were not strong enough. If you're no longer making shots, then it's my turn. Yi Lingchen ignored the rest of them and had the language department serve the ball. Dribble, breakthrough. The ball was seemingly alive in his hands. Those from the sports department could not even touch it. They could only see a blur, and the very next moment, Yi Lingchen had broken through their defense. He shoots. Clunk. Another three-pointer. Continue serving. Yi Lingchen did not waste time. The basketball flew across the air, creating one beautiful arc after another. Three-pointer. Three-pointer. Yet another three-pointer. Very quickly, the score went to 63-93. The score of the language department increased at an alarming rate. Meanwhile, the sports department had not gained a single point. The entire court turned into Yi Lingchen's home field. As long as the ball fell into his hands, it would score in the next moment. If the ball fell into the sports department's control, it would be stolen by Yi Lingchen within 3 seconds. The originally prideful players from the sports department had their spirit broken. Their heads were drooping, feeling physically and mentally exhausted. At that moment, their only thought was to end the match as soon as possible. I didn't expect him to be that good at basketball, Li Mushui exclaimed, staring at the figure running all over the court with amazement in her beautiful eyes. Beside her, Huang Xiaomeng was annoyed when she saw Li Mushui's dreamy gaze. Huang Xiaomeng then looked at Yi Lingchen with a glance. A mischievous smile appeared at the edge of her lips. Sister Mushui is mine. Nobody can steal her away from me. Sister Mushui, why don't we treat him to a meal to clear up the misunderstanding between us? Didn't you have a bone to pick with him? Why would you suddenly think of treating him? Lu Mushui asked, feeling curious. It's just a misunderstanding from the beginning. It's better to make friends than enemies. Let's not drag this. We'll treat him right after this match, Huang Xiaomeng replied excitedly. That's fine, Li Mushui agreed to it after muttering to herself for some time. Finally, along with the referee's whistle, the match had ended. 116-93. A complete victory by the language department. We won, we won. The entire language department was stunned at first, then erupted in cheers. Yeezy, good job, Yeezy, you're really something man, keeping such a low profile. Good at games, kung fu, and basketball. You must be some sort of hidden expert, aren't you? Comparing you and He Yuan, he's like a pile of dog poo. Yeezy, you're so dependable. If I were a girl, I'll surely fawn over you. Is it too late to get gender reassignment therapy? Potato and gang joined in too, hugging Yi Lingchen and laughing along. Yi Lingchen, thank you very much. Gao Wen approached him to show her appreciation, carrying a hint of excitement in her voice. Yi Lingchen, if you continue to take part in the upcoming matches, our department will surely win first place. I'll pass, Yi Lingchen shook his head, I'll leave the following matches in your hands. He joined the match just to teach Yi Yuan a lesson. If he continued to take part in the competition, that would be just plain bullying. A look of disappointment appeared on Gao Wen's face, but she did not make any further requests. It's fine. However, I suggest that you apply for the university's sports department. With your potential, you should not waste your talents. I will consider that, Yi Lingchen answered with a smile and nodded, after which he helped support little Jen to the infirmary. With his medical knowledge, he could help little General set his bones back with some massaging. However, doing so might attract too much unwanted attention. He had brought enough attention to himself that day and decided to leave it at that after he gave it some consideration. Yeezy, you're amazing. That felt great, little General kept talking, almost forgetting the pain in his foot. Those blocks of yours had traumatized the entire sports department. I had even specially recorded all their expressions down. I'll be saving that to my collection, Sean added from the side. Damn, that's smart. Quick, send it to me. That way I'll have something to de-stress myself with in the future. At the same time, the people in the sports department also let out a breath of relief. It's finally over. They did not feel bad because of the loss. Instead, they felt free from the shackles of that match. A blissful smile of freedom shone on their faces. They suffered from the heavy pressure when faced with Yi Lingchen. It was a match where one could not see a sliver of hope. Even until the end, they dared not even think about touching the ball, as the moment they touched it, it would mean that they would be in Yi Lingchen's sights. Just recalling the memory brought fear to them. He Yuan stared at Yi Lingchen's figure, his face deathly pale and the veins on his forehead bulged. The intense humiliation almost turned his face into a different color. You're just a loser in the end. Just you wait. At the same time, his phone vibrated from a message received. It came from an unknown number. Tonight Li Mushui will ask Yi Lingchen out for dinner. The location is at Old Eastern Gate Restaurant. It was just a simple message, but it transformed He Yuan's expression into an extremely dark one. Just the humiliation from Yi Lingchen's constant blocking was bad enough. At that moment, he felt that Yi Lingchen had donned a green hat on his head. A field of greenfield on the top, growing greener by the second. Of course, that was all just one-sided in his head. A cruel look flashed across his eyes. This is unbearable. Yi Lingchen brought little Jen to the infirmary. A sprained foot was not a big deal. He only needed to take a good rest to recover. After getting some anti-inflammatory medication and painkillers, they let him out. Just as they exit the infirmary, Yi Lingchen paused in his steps with a look of surprise on his face. Standing outside was Li Mushui and Huang Xiaomeng. It would seem that they followed him over. Potato and the gang instead displayed a creepy smile, their eyes shifting between Li Mushui and Yi Lingchen. Yi Lingchen, can I treat you to dinner tonight? Li Mushui's beautiful eyes stared at Yi Lingchen sincerely. Of course. Our Yeezy is very free, Sean answered without giving Yi Lingchen a chance to reply, even pushing him forward. Yeezy, we'll be going back first. Have fun. Little General waved him goodbye. You don't have to come home tonight. We won't be waiting for you. Those three animals. Yi Lingchen shook his head helplessly, then looked towards Li Mushui. What's the matter? I'm sorry that I caused you so much trouble, Li Mushui answered after biting her lips. All the while she had been reflecting on her actions with the scene where she met Yi Lingchen constantly on replayed in her mind. From the moment she met Yi Lingchen on the bus, she had assumed that Yi Lingchen stirred up trouble to gain her attention. In the end, not only did Yi Lingchen save a child, he even captured the kidnappers. After that, he had used Yi Lingchen as a shield to reject Yi Yuan. To her, it was just a small issue, but it caused Yi Lingchen to be at the receiving end of Yi Yuan's petty revenge. If not for Yi Lingchen handling each situation as they came, the outcome would have been worse. However, while she was feeling guilty, a twinge of curiosity grew in her heart. Every time she met him, he seemed to be full of surprises. Everything he did was like the stars in the sky, attracting people around him. However, when she recalled the time Yi Lingchen forced a kiss on her and spewed those baseless words, it made her feel aggravated and embarrassed. All in all, she had mixed feelings about Yi Lingchen. Yi Lingchen did not know all the inner thoughts that Li Mushui had in that short amount of time. He only saw Li Mushui's expression constantly changing between guilt, embarrassment, anger. This woman. Her face was just too expressive. It was a shame for her to not be in a movie. Yi Lingchen thought about it regretfully, then said, if it's to apologize, then save it. We'll just treat it like nothing ever happened and we don't owe each other anything. Having said that, he tried to leave. Li Mushui tried to speak, but was at a loss for words, feeling frustrated. That was the first time someone could ignore her beauty, yet she could not be angry about it. Hey, are you a man or not? Huang Xiaomeng shouted at Yi Lingchen. She moved to place herself directly in Yi Lingchen's path, blocking his way and stared at him. We, as girls, have taken the initiative to apologize. Why are you acting all high and mighty? You're just too petty. Furthermore, you have announced in public that you have slept with Sister Mushui. We're not even holding you accountable for that. Do you know how damaging it is for us girls to have those words spread out? Moreover, isn't Sister Mushui beautiful enough? We're treating you to dinner, not torturing you. What do you have to be afraid of as a man? Fine. Where do you want to go? Yi Lingchen looked at Li Mushui, then finally agreed to it. Let's go to the Old Eastern Gate restaurant near the university. Their food is good, and the price is decent. Without waiting for Li Mushui's reply, Huang Xiaomeng interjected impatiently. Let's not waste time, we'll head over now. The Old Eastern Gate restaurant was one of the more famous restaurants near the campus. It was said to have been operating for the past 100 years. The taste was authentic and the food was fresh. It was popular among the locals and filled with customers every day. As it was nearby, the three of them decided to walk there. Yi Lingchen followed behind Li Mushui and Huang Xiaomeng. Over time, his expression started to look weird. Along the way, he noticed that Huang Xiaomeng slung her hand around Li Mushui, sticking herself up to Li Mushui as close as she could. The way she looked at her was also suspicious and the words she used were flirtatious. Li Mushui's expression was slightly unnatural, but she did not say anything. These two girls had something wrong going on, something terribly wrong. Yi Lingchen was behind them, his gaze moving back and forth quickly between the two of them. No wonder Huang Xiaomeng had a bigger grudge than Li Mushui. It seemed that she thinks of Li Mushui as her woman? Li Mushui was the most popular girl in the university. If this piece of news were to spread, who knows how many young men will go crazy over it. This was a crazy world. If he knew this earlier he would not have come along as a third wheel. Three of them found a table by the window and sat down. All were silent. Yi Lingchen was looking at the two girls suspiciously, at a loss for words. Huang Xiaomeng, on the other hand, was busy looking around. The way she looked at Yi Lingchen was obvious that she had ill intentions. Why isn't Yi Yuan here yet? Could it be that he's afraid of Yi Lingchen and chickened out? Finally, Li Mushui broke the silence and passed the menu to Yi Lingchen. Yi Lingchen, this is the menu. Have a look and decide on what you want to eat. Sure. Yi Lingchen did not show any reservations and simply ordered a few dishes. Meanwhile, at a corner in the Old Eastern Gate, Yi Yuan, along with three guys were sitting in a hidden corner. Their eyes constantly looked towards Yi Lingchen's direction. All three of them had heavy builds. With a glance, one could tell that they were athletes. They were all from the sports department and had taken part in the basketball match. They were badly humiliated by Yi Lingchen almost to the point of tears. Brother Yuan, when are we making a move? Big Muscle asked impatiently. From the time of my birth, I was never that badly humiliated before. I need my revenge. That's right, Brother Yuan. Since when did our sports department suffer this type of humiliation? Maybe you don't know, but I almost cried on the court. Brother Yuan, it's bad enough that he blocked your shots. He's now putting a green hat on your head one. If this is not crossing the line, I don't know what is. Shut up. He Yuan scolded, his expression twisted. You guys are all bronze and no brains. I want to make a move too. The problem is that we are no match for him. He had even defeated a martial artist. With just us, it's not even sufficient for him to warm up. To teach him a lesson, we'll have to do it smartly. Good one, Brother Yuan. You're so knowledgeable. You're so smart, Big Muscle said in sincere respect. Brother Yuan, how to do this smartly? You should have a plan, right? You've all watched our campus productions, right? I purposely brought something good. Take a look, He Yuan said with an inscrutable laugh, after which he took out a woven bag. We only need to put this bag over his head when he's not paying attention. With that, his kung fu will be of no use. All that's left is for us to beat him up as we wish. Good plan, Brother Yuan. Ha ha ha. I can't wait. Damn, that's the legendary woven bag that can induce blindness. This is an eye-opener for me today. I knew following Brother Yuan was a good idea. When are we doing this? Be patient. We need to find a chance to give him the fatal blow. Wahahaha. He Yuan was pleased. Alright, we'll follow Brother Yuan's orders. During his meal, Yi Lingchen stared at Huang Xiaomeng, who kept serving food to Li Mushui. He felt a shiver down his spine, troubling him. Hee, you might not believe this, but the two girls sitting across me are publicly displaying their affection to me. Yi Lingchen hurriedly finished his food, wanting to get out of this troubling situation. I need to use the restroom. Yi Lingchen stood up and headed for the restroom. Brother Yuan, that punk is going to the restroom. He Yuan and his lackeys were immediately energized, their eyes glowing. Let's go. It's time for revenge. The four of them rubbed their hands and followed closely behind Yi Lingchen to the restroom. He Yuan stopped at the restroom door and pressed his ears against it, carefully listening in. Brother Yuan, what are we waiting for? Big Muscle was anxious. Shish. He Yuan was on high alert, snickering softly. We will wait until he's peeing. Wouldn't that be safer? Smart. That's a smart move. Big Muscle and the other two snickered along, then gave He Yuan a big thumbs up. After a moment, He Yuan made the call. It's about time. Let's go in. Huang Xiaomeng had also noticed the commotion. Her big eyes lit up, feeling both excited and curious. Sister Mushui, the show is about to start, she said excitedly while rubbing her hands together. Show? What show? Li Mushui was taken aback. Ha ha ha. He Yuan followed Yi Lingchen into the restroom. Huang Xiaomeng's excitement was uncontainable. Quick, let's go have a look. He Yuan? What is he doing here? Li Mushui frowned her brows. Should be just a coincidence. Huang Xiaomeng's eyes swiveled. He Yuan definitely won't let Yi Lingchen off. They will surely have a big fight in the restroom. It's a show not to be missed. You can't be thinking of going to the men's room, right? Li Mushui was stupefied. What's wrong? I paid attention earlier. It's already half an hour since anyone entered the restroom. Why would you pay attention to such things? Li Mushui was shocked. Iya, that's not the point. The point is that we need to hurry over. Huang Xiaomeng urged. Yi Lingchen is about to be given a beating. Don't you want to see that? Alright. Li Mushui gave it some thought. This all happened because of her. She should try her best to stop it from happening. Inside Old Eastern Gate restaurant, two girls were carefully inching closer to the men's room. Yi Lingchen just undid his fly and was leisurely expelling water. He lowered his gaze at his gushing flow. Apart from increasing his fighting prowess, martial arts had brought him other benefits too. Based on his current ability, he would get top placements in a competition for peeing distance. Yi Lingchen, being pleased by the thought, started whistling. This punk was whistling at a time like this. He Yuan and the other three sneakily closed in, their gaze glued to Yi Lingchen's back. With the woven bag in their hand, they inched closer and closer. As they approached, a creepy smile formed on their face, sinister and vicious looking. If a man were to be scared at such moments, he might develop a phobia. If they added in a round of beating for him, he would probably be scared whenever he peed. From the reflection on the urinal, Yi Lingchen had long noticed the commotion behind him. As the figures came closer, he turned around suddenly. Whoosh! The high-capacity water gun was like a water truck, drawing various arcs across the air, raining down on the 4 people that were smiling stupidly. F***ck. The sudden change stunned the 4 of them, leaving them clueless, and they immediately rushed backward. However, the strength and power of this water gun was beyond average. It followed the 4 of them closely. They could only feel the droplets raining on them, splashing across their faces. The best part was that their mouths were slightly open due to their surprise, causing some of the droplets to rain into their mouths. Faced with that strong and intense water gun, the 4 of them could only retreat helplessly into a corner like injured lambs, stricken by fear. At the same time, the restroom doors once again opened. 2 little heads peeked in from outside, curiously looking inwards. That peek shocked their eyes open wide. Ah! Li Mushui and Huang Xiaomeng screamed at the same time. Both had vastly different reactions. Li Mushui immediately covered her eyes and moved back outside, whereas Huang Xiaomeng was covering her mouth with her hands, eyes staring wide open. They had expected to witness a fight breaking out in the restroom, never expecting to see Yi Lingchen showering Hu Yuan and his muscular minions into a corner like that. Their eyes were especially surprised since they were unwittingly given a close-up view of what happened. The image was deeply imprinted in their heads. That was too violently perverted. Li Mushui was on the brink of a breakdown as she was unable to dispel the image in her head. She repeatedly shook her head and was almost at the point of tears. At the same time, she dragged the surprisingly delighted Huang Xiaomeng out of there as well. Ah! Yi Lingchen, that B*****. How dare you whip out such a disgusting thing? Li Mushui was holding her head with both her hands, going crazy. I'm gonna be blind. She noticed that Yi Lingchen was her nemesis. Ever since meeting him, her first kiss was taken, name ruined, and now even her eyes were tainted. Sister Mushui, that was the men's room. Yi Lingchen took it out to pee. We were the peeping toms. Huang Xiaomeng corrected her with an unbiased opinion. Yi Lingchen was thoroughly seen by us. It's his loss. Li Mushui agreed after some thought, then looked towards Huang Xiaomeng with a dejected expression. You're the one that dragged me along. I.e. Sister Mushui, it's not like seeing it will make you pregnant. We've even learned something. Huang Xiaomeng replied nonchalantly. That He Yuan is so useless. I thought he could teach Yi Lingchen a lesson. Instead, he was cornered by that water gun. What a useless prick. Huang Xiaomeng and Li Mushui's screams gave Yi Lingchen a scare. There are girls hiding in the restroom? I guess they must be shocked by my powerful tool. I must keep it low, keep a low profile. He quickly zipped his pants, then got ready to leave. Hold it right there, He Yuan roared. He was drenched from top to bottom, with liquid still running off his face. Without any shred of dignity left, he glared at Yi Lingchen. You think you can leave that easily? What, you want more? Yi Lingchen got ready to unzip his pants again. He Yuan and his gang immediately turned pale and backed off quickly, obviously traumatized by Yi Lingchen's weapon. Yi Lingchen then walked out of the restroom after glancing at them. Returning to his seat, he noticed Li Mushui's face was as red as a hot iron, almost to the point of smoking. Her gaze shifted away, trying to avoid eye contact with Yi Lingchen. Are you okay? Yi Lingchen asked out of concern. His medical skills were great and Li Mushui did not seem like she was ill. I'm fine, Li Mushui immediately replied, shaking her head. That's fine then. Oh, did you hear some girls scream earlier? Yi Lingchen asked again. Li Mushui and Huang Xiaomeng were caught by surprise, then quickly shook their heads in denial. Ring. Just as Yi Lingchen wanted to ask further questions, his phone rang. The called ID showed that it was Lin Ruoyu. Yi Lingchen picked up the call. Hello, Miss Lin. Grandmaster Yi, I'm about to reach your university. Where are you? He had made an appointment to treat grandfather Lin's illness, but he did not expect Lin Ruoyu to come pick him up personally. I'm currently at the Old Eastern Gate. You can come over here directly. Shortly after, a red Porsche zoomed over and parked in front of the restaurant. Lin Ruoyu was wearing a thin black leather jacket that day. Wearing shades, she stood next to the Porsche with her long fair legs exposed. A fancy car, a beautiful woman. Add to that Lin Ruoyu's aura of nobility. It immediately attracted many stares from those around her. My friend is here. You guys enjoy your dinner. I'll be making a move. Yi Lingchen stood up and walked outwards after bidding them goodbye. Looking at the direction Yi Lingchen was heading, Huang Xiaomeng and Li Mushui almost had their eyes popped out of their sockets, mouth agape. Damn, don't tell me that guy is trying to pick up the girl? Is his lust out of control? Huang Xiaomeng exclaimed out of surprise. Do you think he will be slapped by that girl? However, more surprises lay ahead. Yi Lingchen was happily chatting with that girl, followed by him getting into her car. This. Huang Xiaomeng was flabbergasted, immediately changing her tone to one filled with social justice. Gigolo, son of a B*TCH, B*starred. He's a sugar baby. Li Mushui coughed in response. Xiaomeng, don't spread rumors. But we saw it with our own eyes. He's just a poor kid. What else could it be apart from him being a sugar baby? Huang Xiaomeng gritted her teeth. Look at that girl. She's wearing leather, definitely kinky. Is that not obvious enough? I really couldn't tell that he was a gigolo. She paused for a moment, then changed her tone. You know, Sister Mushui, that guy has good potential. Being good at fighting in basketball. His body must be in top condition. Not to mention his decent looks. Most importantly, you've seen it earlier. His you-know-what is definitely something worth showing off. That's enough, no more. Huang Xiaomeng's description became more and more outrageous, once again bringing back those disgusting images to Li Mushui's mind. I've heard that strong women are always lonely and unfulfilled. I guess a gigolo like Yi Lingchen must be in high demand for him to get such a beautiful sugar mommy. Huang Xiaomeng continued her monologue. That's enough, Xiaomeng. Stop it. Let's go. Li Mushui watched as the sports car faded away into the distance. Oddly, she let out a sigh of relief. In the sports car, it was filled with a faint but pleasing scent. The scent was different from the scent of perfume. It was very faint, most likely being Lin Ruoyu's scent. Miss Lin, I didn't expect you to pick me up personally today, Yi Lingchen said with a smile. Grandmaster Yi, you've treated my grandfather's illness. I don't even know how to thank you. Picking you up is the least I could do. Lin Ruoyu thanked him gratefully. You can just call me Ruoyu. After all the time spent with his treatment, Grandfather Lin's condition was almost fully recovered. He looked 10 years younger, unlike when they first met. The Lin family did not know how to show their gratitude towards Yi Lingchen. Then you can just call me Lingchen. I'm actually younger than you. Yi Lingchen rubbed his nose. Gran. Lingchen. Earlier at the restaurant dining with you, is that your girlfriend? Lin Ruoyu asked. She was a martial artist with good senses. It was normal for her to notice Yi Lingchen's private life. Yi Lingchen shook his head, smiling as he replied, that's just a schoolmate. My brother told me about your participation in the special training camp. Your legend is now being spread all over the warriors department. Lin Ruoyu looked at Yi Lingchen, biting her lips, then asked, your 8 extremities fist is amazing. Can you find time to teach me? The 8 extremities fist is your family's fist technique. It's only fair that I teach you. Yi Lingchen nodded in agreement. Both of them chatted along the way. Yi Lingchen had seen Lin Ruoyu performing the fist technique, so he understood some of her weaknesses. At that time, he pointed them out one by one, helping Lin Ruoyu greatly. Her gaze towards Yi Lingchen was filled with gratitude. Right at that moment, Yi Lingchen scowled. His gaze fell on the rear-view mirror. Did you bring some followers along? No, I didn't. Lin Ruoyu shook her head. That car behind us had been following us all the while. Yi Lingchen said blankly, as a gleam flashed across his eyes. We're being followed. Lin Ruoyu's expression turned dark. She sneaked a peek at the rear-view mirror while maintaining her driving speed. I don't think they will follow us all the way to the Lin family estate. The Porsche continued to speed down the road. Everything appeared to be normal. Honk honk honk. Right then, a huge truck was coming directly towards Yi Lingchen at an alarming speed, accompanied by a series of honking sounds. If they collided, the entire Porsche would be turned into a pancake. *T. Lin Ruoyu cursed under her breath. She spun the wheel quickly, forcibly changing the car's direction. Honk honk honk. After some distance, another truck appeared rushing at the Porsche once again. They're not friendly. Lin Ruoyu pushed a button in the car. Following that, a bright light flashed within the car. That's our rescue signal I installed in the car. It's to allow my family to obtain my immediate location and send people nearby for assistance, explained Lin Ruoyu. As they were talking, two trucks came at them from two separate junctions. Lin Ruoyu felt helpless, and could only continue to change her course. Along the way, such a situation happened 5 times. If not for Lin Ruoyu's quick reflexes and excellent driving skills, the outcome would have been disastrous for both of them. It seems that they're trying to hurt us somewhere. Lin Ruoyu took a deep breath, her expression ugly. There were fewer and fewer people around them. It would appear that they have reached a desolate location. At times like these, she dared not get the slightest bit distracted. Her eyes looked everywhere, staying alert to the possibility of danger appearing at any second. The car behind them still followed them at a leisurely speed. Within their field of vision, another black Land Rover appeared, blocking them right in the middle of the road as if waiting for Lin Ruoyu's arrival. I think they are coming for our Lin family. Looking at the scale of their attempt, it was unrelated to Yi Lingchen. Lin Ruoyu looked apologetically at Yi Lingchen. I'm sorry to have dragged you into this. Yi Lingchen shook his head without a care. Let's settle the current situation first. For daring to act against the Lin family, the enemy must have had some unimaginable power behind them. The Porsche slowly pulled to a halt and both of them got out of the car. At the same time, 2 people got down from the Land Rover and another 2 more got down from the one behind it. They were all wearing black short-sleeved shirts. Their build was not bulky but they had very well-toned muscles. Each movement looked firm and strong, giving off an imposing feeling. They were not normal martial artists. The scariest part was the aura that their bodies emitted. It was a mixture of ruthlessness and violence, as though they had emerged from a mountain of corpses and seas of blood, as though they were the Grim Reaper. Who are you? Lin Ruoyu asked coldly. Miss Lin, have you heard of Earth's Gate? The leader was bald. His left eye had a deep knife scar, a gaze filled with malice. You're from Earth's Gate? Lin Ruoyu gasped in the cold air, her expression darkened. How dare you step foot into China? Hee, our 10-year promise has come to an end. All our grudges with your grandfather, we'll settle it one by one with him. Our aim today was to invite Miss Lin over to our place for a stay. Treat this as collecting interest, the bald man smiled. What if I say no? Lin Ruoyu's eyes narrowed. Hee, that's not up to you. The bald man, confident in his ability to subdue Lin Ruoyu, took his time to explain slowly. In the past, your grandfather and our leader fought. Although your grandfather won by a small margin, I don't think he had it easy too. It's a miracle that he survived. Within the past 10 years, Earth's Gate honored the promise to not set foot into China. Now, not only has our leader fully recovered, his ability has improved greatly. This time, is there anyone in your warriors department that's a match for the Earth's Gate? If you come again, the result will be as before. You will leave this country like a defeated dog, Lin Ruoyu retorted coldly. The bald man laughed. Your words won't get you anywhere, just like your current situation. Admit it or not, you're already our prisoner. You can follow us obediently or be dragged away forcefully. The choice is yours. Lin Ruoyu was troubled, unable to come up with any retort. You're sure full of nonsense. We're in a hurry. Get lost once you're done with your speech. Right then, Yi Lingchen, who was just standing at the sideline, suddenly joined the conversation. He still needed to go back for the live stream after Grandfather Lin's treatment. His schedule was packed and he did not want to waste time listening to this bald guy's bullshit. The bald man was stunned. The other 3 men were stunned too. In their minds, this scene should not have happened. Finally, all their gazes focused on Yi Lingchen. At first, Yi Lingchen was like an ant, not worthy of their attention. Hence they did not even pay him any heed. Who would have thought that this kid would surprise them with such words? This kid is asking for death. Do you know who you're talking to? The bald man laughed. I've never bothered myself with a bug. Nor would I care about a bug's life or death. As long as you're willing to kowtow to me and sincerely apologize, I'll consider sparing your life. After all, killing you would be soiling my hands. Dumb SS, can you shut up? Scram. Yi Lingchen's gaze was lined with impatience as he spoke. You're asking for death. This is your last chance to voice your regrets? The bald man's eyes flashed with a murderous fury, his voice ruthless and dark. I'll torture you slowly and make you kowtow to your death. Having said that, he walked up towards Yi Lingchen. With each step, his aura grew stronger, as though the Grim Reaper approached. Vroom! Right at that moment, accompanying the roaring sound of engines were 3 jeeps rushing onto the scene. 4 people came out from each car, quickly gathering around Lin Ruoyu's side. Their expressions were cold, reporting in one voice, "We 12 are the Warriors Department 8 Division's martial artists," reporting to Miss Lin. With the reinforcements, Lin Ruoyu's dark mood started to improve. After sending out her rescue signal, this 8 division must have been the closest to her, hence being the first to arrive. Lin Ruoyu announced coldly, "They're from the Earth's Gate. The opponents are very strong. Be careful when you take action. Capture if possible and kill those you can't." Understood. The 12 immediately turned their attention to the 4 from Earth's Gate, their eyes gleaming with a serious look on their face. Following that, they lowered their body and pounced forward in an instant. As martial artists, they have heard bits and pieces about the Earth's Gate. Earth's Gate, also known as Earth's Gate Martial Arts Association. It originated from the Sun Nation 1. Rumor had it that it was passed on from an ancient faction. Their members learned true martial arts, and it was filled with many capable people. All the while they were growing stronger. Simply put, they were like the Shaolin Temple of China. However, the Earth's Gate was obsessive about martial arts and had strong bloodlust. They acted with impunity, once naming themselves as the Sacred Ground Martial Arts. Time and time again they stepped foot into China trying to compete with the Warriors Department. Their arrogance knew no bounds. 10 years ago, Earth's Gate's top fighter was defeated by someone within the Warriors Department and they have disappeared since then. Unexpectedly, they were attempting to come back this time. The 12 belonged to one team and they were used to cooperating as a team. Furthermore, as martial artists, their combat ability was beyond the average person. One of them was sufficient to handle over 10 adults. They were moving as one. Dexterous, fearsome, and struck like the wind. With 12 against 4, they were confident to take their opponents down quickly.